Quickly into space, Concepcion, blockers in front, and here he goes. KC says TD.
This is 365 Sports.
Final 30 seconds of the quarter, second down throw to the end zone. Douglas. Touchdown, Texas Tech. What a drive.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Sorsby the key, what a cut! Broken ankles! See ya!
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Another first down for Vandy. Pressure off the edge. He steps up, and now he's going to run for the end zone and score! Diego Pavia!
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Brown takes another shot. Wide open Koger. Touchdown, South Florida. 63 yards.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
We are all back together again. Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina. To my right and left, I'm David Smoak. We appreciate your time on this gorgeous Wednesday as we dig into a lot of mainly assistant coach news in college football, plus Brett Yormark trying to take up for ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips. We got a lot to get to, including Taylor McHargue today joins us at 3:40 from CBS and Zack Gelb, Infinity Sports Network. Craig's going to have his Mojo, Big 12, Mojo Rankings delayed a little bit because he was out, not feeling well, and then dental work, and he's here. How you feeling, young man?
Man, it has been a hell of a last 7 or 8 days. I mean, it really has been, but I'm here and I'm feeling as good as I have in a couple of weeks. But, yeah, last week got knocked out with just the worst case of, I think, flu that I've had in several years. I'm still dealing with the after effects of it. And it's been like a full week now at this point, but at least I'm able to talk for 5 seconds without coughing, and I can breathe, and I don't have a fever, so that's good. But then, yeah, yesterday dental issue came up, so I was like, really? And I'm in one of those stretches of life, where it's just like every day, something just feels like it's going wrong. So it's good to be here, and hopefully I can just be in a groove now and not worry about anything for a while.
Wait till you're my age.
Oh, yeah.
There's things that go wrong all the time. Paul Catalina, Brett Yormark, taking up for his buddy in the ACC with Pete Bevacqua. Notre Dame, of course, angry. The Pete Bevacqua, not his buddy, the Notre Dame athletic director, to pick it up for Jim Phillips. So let's listen to it. Let's listen to it, and then we'll come back. Paul, your thoughts when you first heard this yesterday evening.
Say this, and I'm about it. I don't like how Notre Dame's reacted to it.
So
okay, I think Pete's his behavior has been egregious. It's been egregious going after Jim Phillips when they saved Notre Dame during COVID. We all knew, and it was very transparent. Hunter was very transparent about it. The chair, that as Notre Dame and Miami got closer together, head-to-head would be a factor. Okay? BYU lost. They became closer together, head-to-head, and made a difference in that decision. So I think he is totally out of bounds in his approach, and if he was in the room, I'd tell him the same thing.
All right, so there's Brett Yormark, the Big 12 commissioner. Thanks to Pat Smith Radio for posting that. Is Yormark right? Who's right and wrong here?
I mean, I think that Notre Dame's reaction, being snubbed and reacting emotionally, I mean, I know, I get it, but at the same time, he's not pointing his ire in the right direction. So yeah, I know, I agree with Brett Yormark here in that the way that he's treated the ACC is pretty ridiculous and making these threats and all that. Now, Soki, the first thing I thought, you kind of disagreed with me when I said that there would not be a greener pasture for Notre Dame to have this agreement. You kind of said that Brett Yormark would kind of react the same way Jim Phillips did. I think that shows that he like, not that he wouldn't take Notre Dame and make a scheduling agreement and all that stuff, but he would not, given especially the way that he came into the league and his express directive of the Big 12 was, hey, we need somebody here who can, when somebody gets too big for their britches, like balance the scales of power here, because that's not what happened in the Big 12 in its previous iterations. So I think that, I think he's right. Now, on the other end of that, I don't think that Jim Phillips has a really firm hold on the ACC or anything like that, because then we'll get to him and his tiebreaker thing a little bit later.
Yeah,
but
that's not even a part of
that's not even a part of this. But like, Pete Bevacqua and Notre Dame need to understand that I don't know if there's a conference out there that would let you do exactly what you do with the ACC and kind of roll over and take it a lot of the time. Then, put you in a conference for the 1 year of your existence that you needed to be in 2020 so you could play a season. You won the damn thing. And, then, all that worked out for you. So I think that a whole historical perspective is lost on Pete Bevacqua, but he's in his rage phase right now.
I found it interesting that Yormark felt the need to speak up the way that he did, and was surprised to hear him talk so flat out as he did. That was the most shocking thing to me. And then when he starts to go after Notre Dame, I was like, oh, wow, okay, didn't expect it to take this turn. I don't know about the part about them being saved by the ACC during COVID. Like, can we fact check that? I don't know that that's exactly true.
A lot of people have tried to do that. It's still going to be one of those about who should have made the playoffs. There's two different ways to look at it. Whether Notre Dame, by joining the ACC for that year, allowed them to have a season, but then also by being a part of the ACC and having those games, Notre Dame was able to go on and play football too.
Yeah, I don't really trust any of these guys in the suits, and I don't know what angle Yormark's working. I don't know what angle. Well, it's clear what angle Notre Dame's working to some extent. It's the anger angle. But yeah, I don't have like a Yormark was right and Bevacqua was wrong type of feeling on this. I'm more or less just kind of wondering what wheels are spinning behind the scenes and what those conversations are actually like, because it is rare for a commissioner to come out and act like Brett Yormark is in this clip. So, find that just all very interesting, and don't know what to expect next. Notre Dame, if they were to pivot, where are they pivoting? Like, because the thought is look, a Big 12 could go take in Notre Dame sports. They'd gladly do that. They'd bring in Notre Dame, and I would think that would be an enticing option, but I don't think it's necessarily a great idea that would work out well, because I think you're just the ACC and you're just renaming yourself the Big 12 basically. But people don't think about all the effects of it. They think about like, oh, we just have Notre Dame in football and now we're automatically better type of a thing. Well, that seems to pour water on the chances of that happening, at the very least with these comments. I don't know how realistic they would be for Notre Dame looking at options either. Like, would they have any interest in going to play in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and Lawrence, Kansas, and so on and so forth, and all of their other sports? I don't know if that would even be something they would entertain. So if there was something there probably isn't now. Or if there was and there still has a chance of being, then they're going to have to definitely work through some disagreements here, because they're clearly on the opposite sides of Notre Dame's reaction to everything. And I do think that Brett, just in general, does have a point. Like, Notre Dame, has lashed out. Like, they're not totally in the right, but I also understand where they're coming from. They had a very emotional decision, and they're not backing down from that, even though they probably a couple days later would react maybe slightly differently because the emotions aren't quite as high, but they reacted how they did when they did. And now other people have thoughts on that, and they have fears about what this sort of sets up for the future of Notre Dame and how they operate within this whole ecosystem. So it's a very interesting chain of events for sure.
Yeah, a lot of different ways to look at it. If you're a Notre Dame fan, you're like, wait a minute. And then if you're an ACC fan, I think they both helped each other, but Notre Dame would not have had anybody. The ACC also needed somebody else to get to what they needed. I remember that time. Well, you could end up having games made up in 24 hours. It's amazing they can't do that as much now.
But just for the overall partnership with the ACC that has nothing to do with 2020 and COVID, in the COVID year, I mean, is any other league going to let Notre Dame have the run of it that the ACC does in its current agreement with Notre Dame?
I wonder if the Big 12 would have done that when that came down with the ACC.
Well, maybe then, but that doesn't matter now. Like, Notre Dame needs to look at how it has a situation with the ACC right now. So right now, is anybody going to give them that same situation, which is a pretty sweet deal?
Well, it sounds like Yormark probably wouldn't now. If there was somebody that would, it would be them. Yeah.
I mean, like, if you thought there were plans to possibly have a connection there between the Big 12 and Notre Dame, it's like, if there was a flicker or a flame for that, then it seems like you just poured a bucket of water on it.
Yeah.
And I think even if Yormark still had interest, Notre Dame's now going to be like, screw you, buddy. Like, we're not going to sit there and now go join arms with you because of the comments you just made. So maybe there wasn't much of a chance of that happening to begin with. Maybe there was. Maybe there still is. And it's just now going to take some extra work because of Yormark going public with how he feels. And I did see, like, well, he wouldn't say that to Pete's face. I absolutely think he'd say that to Pete Bevacqua's face. And if they're in the same room here in the future, which I'm sure they will be sooner rather than later, then I'm sure, like two gentlemen, they'll have their own conversation and have it out. But I like that Yormark was unrestrained there and just said what he felt and didn't do the typical kind of corporate BS. There's a lot of emotions flying high and running high right now, especially around South Bend. And so, interesting that he threw his hat in the ring, and interesting he's going to bat for the ACC, but I can see where, he also has reasons to side with the ACC as well. So it's nice. There's politicking going on here, guys. That's what's happening. There's a lot of politics going on.
We have a commissioner that's not afraid to talk, that otherwise normally would be like, I'm not allowed to say anything or I'm going to get squashed. I'm not saying Bowlesby did that, but that you have somebody that wants to pick up for his guy. Well, I love it.
I don't know how much Yormark is sticking up for college football here, but I do think that in general with the whole Notre Dame thing, their decision was very emotional, and it had to be because it was within minutes and barely even hours of having their hearts broken and then having to decide, oh, we're not going to go play in these bowl games. But big picture, just like strip the names away. Is it a good look that they decided we're not playing for a national title? We're not playing. Like that's a dagger in the sport. And you can say, well, look at all these other teams that aren't playing as well. It's like, yeah, but they were never in line for the playoff. And so now you set a precedent where a team gets screwed out of the playoff, so to speak, and they now take their ball and they go home, which you can't argue they did not do. That's absolutely what they did to a T. They took their ball and they said, we're not playing anymore. We didn't like how that worked out. So you can't argue that they didn't do that. But what kind of a precedent did it set? And, I don't think Iowa State would get snubbed by the playoff and go, we're not going to go play in a bowl game now. They wouldn't have the cash to do that. But Notre Dame can, and it's just now, it's like, how do you react to this? Because if you bend to them on this, then what does that now create and set up moving forward? And so that's the part where I think everybody's kind of like, how does this go now? Because this could be a really bad step forward with this playoff era when you have a team like this style not wanting to play in games.
So Matt Fortuna, who covers college football, according to various others who do, saying that one of the other issues with this Notre Dame and ACC thing was that the ACC sent out some emails, and somehow what they were trying to do is position their teams to be in a better spot and like narrative, like everybody would, and Notre Dame was a part of the email chain.
Well, I mean, okay. I think that, for Notre Dame to be shocked that it's every man for themselves when they're the definition of the lone wolf.
Yeah.
Like, it's so bizarre to me because what it is
it feels like our politicians are gaslighting us.
Yeah.
I'm like, what they're like.
Yeah,
I'm the victim. It's like, you're the billionaire. How are you?
Like what? Yeah, like how are you? So I asked Shahan yesterday when we had him on. Is this like a billionaire complaining that his own private plane is 15 minutes late? Like, oh, you have to wait?
Yeah,
you have to wait. That you just get to tell the plane like, oh, bummer. It's like, yeah, okay, sometimes things don't go your way. And guess what? And then not only that, I think the most egregious thing about this, to steal the word from Brett Yormark, is they are loudly pissing and moaning about this when they've already solved the issue for next year.
Yep.
So this is 1 year, and it sounds like the time at Thanksgiving you didn't get the turkey leg, and then next year they're like, well, we'll just do a second turkey so that everybody can get one. And then they're like, yeah, but in 2025, I'm never going to let you forget that in 2025, we were promised a turkey leg and we didn't get it.
I don't think as much the last 20 years or so because they haven't been as relevant. They've had good teams. They've played in big games, including last year, et cetera. But Notre Dame kind of was not as much the hated team. That went to other other schools, but they're putting themselves back in that position. So remember Pete Bevacqua saying it was the greatest 10-win run among college football in history. Our buddy Dave Bartu couldn't help himself. You know him in analytics. So he went back and said, okay, so they had one of the most dominant 10-game runs in the history of college football. I ran the numbers. They ranked number 3, and I'm thinking, this year, Indiana, Ohio State both had better stretches even this season than Notre Dame did when Pete Bevacqua brought that up with their 10-game winning streak. Yeah. That was among the most dominant in college football history. If he would have said this year, fine. But when he started talking about history, like I said yesterday, when Notre Dame's had a bunch of those themselves, that didn't make any sense.
In the history of 2025, they had the third best.
Yeah. Right. So then there's this story. Ivan Maisel. Remember, we had him on this show with the book with Frank Leahy. He was going to be on campus at Hamus Bookstore on the campus of Notre Dame. And his appearance this week on Friday, which is perfect because you want to sell books like this for Christmas, right? It was postponed. The event was postponed because of a series of events. I just saw where Ivan Maisel, by the way, a lot of people call this book. I call the bookstore. I asked him, yes, it's postponed. What, any reason? Well, it's just postponed. So this is Gene Wojciechowski defending his buddy, who he knows is a great friend in Ivan Maisel. They postponed it. He's on the college football committee. So Maisel goes, I stand by the committee and the work we did. I stood by as the committee decided on Notre Dame because head coach Marcus Freeman wrote a blurb for my book, American Coach. I was recused from discussing and voting on the Irish. I offered the recusal in August, and the College Football Playoff Committee accepted it. In other words, he was not a part of any discussion or vote of where Notre Dame should be.
Now it appears to be on the rescheduling track, like everything's good to go. But it does seem like maybe an emotional decision was made there too. But that's been the whole thing at Notre Dame this week.
He's going to be at Joseph Beth Cincinnati Bookstore on Saturday in South Bend at the museum.
I mean, I don't know. This is when it starts to get into super silly territory of they got mad about, for somebody at Notre Dame to have taken notice of Ivan's book signing and even connecting the dots of, then he was around the committee and this and that. And now we're going to punish him and take it out on him. And I don't know. This is all just very, like you said, emotional and kind of goofy. And I'm glad that it's apparently getting rescheduled. I mean, I don't think it does any good to cancel his book signing, and I don't think he's anti-Notre Dame. So, this is a very weird chapter we're living in right now with what's going on these last few days and Notre Dame's role now moving forward as well and how all of this is going to work. So there's a lot of questions surrounding them and the after effects of their decision, and something like this to the level that it's true that it's intentional or it's just something that occurred for a scheduling conflict or something. I don't know, but it does make it easy to pour gas on this and make it a much bigger thing when you've got all the other stuff that's going on in the background. So I would hope they're not that level of petty, but would it shock me at this point? No, because it's one of the pettiest sports in the entire world. So, I
think this is going to lead to more close to what the Big Ten wants. because now the ACC and also, of course, the Big 12 want more spots too, because it's not like they got a lot, one from each conference. So that, in fact, what Jim Phillips was saying today in Vegas. Speaking of which.
But by the way, you said it's the pettiest sport. Notre Dame is run by an organization that famously kind of petty.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
I mean,
it runs deeper than just sports.
Yeah. You heard about people being excommunicated.
Yeah.
For pretty minor things.
Like when I asked one time about why does it seem like Baylor fans always fight against each other, they said, have you ever been to a Baptist convention?
Yeah. Well, look, so, I can tell you, Henry VIII got divorced and it started a whole thing. So
yes. Jim Phillips also saying that the ACC, who thought it would ever get to a seventh tiebreaker to decide what was going to be? Anytime you think it can't happen, when you think something can't happen, ask the Big 12 about 2014 and the ACC this year.
I'm so dumbfounded by who would have thought everybody but you, everybody but the people who made the rules. We watched it happen to the Big 12 after they had a very public three-way tie with Texas, Texas Tech, and Oklahoma years before. They rolled out one true champion. At the actual first press conference, a reporter asked Bob Bowlesby, hey, what if this happens? And Bowlesby was like, you could tell he was like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
So that was a situation that they'd already worked out. What these conferences and these commissioners need to do is actually run through the scenarios, because you have reporters, bloggers, whoever else that have nothing else to do but create content on your things, figuring these things out before you to back check and double check, especially good journalists, because you're trained to do that as a journalist, is to not just read something and go, okay, here's the tiebreakers. You sit in a room, you work on your article, and you work out every situation that you can. And when you have these mega leagues, of course you're going to get past the third or fourth tiebreaker when you have teams that don't play each other during a season. Of course that's going to happen. Now, what I did agree with that he said completely was that all the conferences should have the same tiebreaker procedures. I completely agree with that, just like they should have the same officials and all those things. So that is something they can work on. So at least he's not just sitting out here complaining. He is offering a solution, which I think is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's offering something. Yeah, that's a fair point. I think that it was a gigantic mess that was easily avoidable, and it would have been much simpler to say, like, hey, 2 highest ranked AP teams, they get in. Bing, done. And then that way you always have your best team that's in line to play for the championship. Like, maybe I'm oversimplifying it. Hindsight's 2020, or maybe that's just the logical thing that should have been the way all along. But that seems to me like, well, Miami's in the championship game then, right? And so there's nothing.
Miami and Virginia,
and there's nothing controversial about it, and there's not really anything to worry about. So I just don't know how you didn't do that first. And then it's, instead of coming up with like 1, 2, 3, 4, like how many things it takes before you got to that point to like allow all these other situations to happen where it became as messy as it did. It's just like, man, was there not like a one thing you could have done to just zip through all of these and gave you no issues whatsoever? But like I said, hindsight's 2020. I'm a little bit leery of everybody having the same blanket rules on every single little thing. Like, now everybody's playing the same number of conference games. Now let's all have the same conference tiebreakers. But maybe that is what needs to happen, because everybody has been sort of doing their own thing. And while it worked and operated under a different system, now it doesn't work so well when you're all disjointed and doing things differently. So I think to do that would take the ACC to make the move. But also, this is one of those things where you need actual leadership at the top to kind of make all of this make sense. And as I've pointed out, and as many have pointed out, there is nobody there at the top that's leading anything. So the conferences have to kind of do it by themselves, and they do what they do for the betterment of themselves and try to do what's best for college football, but it's about themselves. So the ACC maybe unintentionally will walk its way into doing something for the greater good of college football and themselves with this whole situation. But yeah, it was a damn mess, man. And watching that game and watching Duke nearly puke all over themselves to let that one go, only to rally back and then win and crush Virginia's playoff hopes and ACC hopes. I mean, it was entertaining, but it was messy there at the end for that league.
And I will say this, because I think this is the same thing that happened here with the ACC, that happened with the Big 12. When the one true champion idiocy happened, it was because the Big 12 was trying to game the system with 4 teams and make sure that if they had 2 teams that had the same record, that the committee would be like, well, I mean, nothing's more impressive than that. We'll put them both in, when in reality, what they did was create a system where they created their own
basically so we don't have a champion.
Yeah, they created their own execution method. Like they gave the committee
instead of one true champion, it was no true champion.
Exactly. And so what I suspect happened here in the 17-team ACC was they created a system to where they thought they could get 2 teams in regardless of anything that happened. And then in the second year, you had absolute chaos because, and here's the thing, the ACC should know this more than any other league, they have more parity beyond usually their top team than anybody else, because usually it's not 2 teams on top of the ACC in the last 15 years. It's usually been Clemson, randomly FSU, or randomly somebody else, and then everybody else is essentially the same. So they should know that that is going to happen in that league.
Yeah, it's a lot about the tiebreaker. They're going to try to fix it. I don't know how they're going to do it. They'll probably forget something when they redo it. Now, the ACC does have a great replay system. I remember the first time I was watching the game, and I'm like, damn, am I hearing like an air traffic controller, or a police on the police radio? And you could hear them discussing a replay. It was fantastic. And the Big 12 will adopt that for transparency for the upcoming football season. I love that idea.
Everybody should do it. There's no reason not to do it. You know what it reminded me of is, and I've watched very few NASCAR races in my day. I can't pretend to, but on some of the ones I have, when I've been with people who watch them, they will turn on the channel where you can hear a specific, like this streaming where you can hear a specific driver's radio. To me, that's way more interesting than just watching them and having the 3 guys talk about it. I'd rather watch and, hear like, all right, Cole, you gotta, we're running low on gas. So
turning left again.
Yeah. I mean, so that to me was more interesting. And this, in something that needs transparency more than anything in the officiating, I mean, this actually gave me a whole lot more faith in what's going on in the replay booth, because you actually get to hear them doing it and watching the people do it, as opposed to, some yutz looking at an 18-inch monitor and nodding his head. Like that's where I think that, like, the ACC was here, like, look, we're going to put the monitor out there so they can see what we're talking about. But, it goes a lot faster because they're like, okay, what I see here is we've got a catch at the 18-yard line on the right hash. Love it.
Yeah, I think it's just straight to the point, and it's something that when they haven't had transparency, it allows for all the fueling of conspiracies or controversies, and you get this insight to at least hear the conversation. I think it was a smart move on their part, and I think it's a smart move on the Big 12's part to follow suit, and I'm glad that they're doing it. I think it's a nice addition. They dabbled with it. If you guys remember, they did it the last few weeks, and had said that they were planning on trying that out as well. I don't know if everybody else will follow suit, but I like it. I like having transparency when it comes to the calls. And college football, I think especially, you can really side-eye some things at times and go like, wait, and that's where I go back to like a conversation from a couple of weeks ago about they like allow the fueling of conspiracies with how conference-heavy things have become, right? With the conference referee crew officiating this conference game where if this team doesn't win, then they don't get to the playoff and give this conference its 3rd playoff team. And all of a sudden this team's getting this really controversial call to go their way late in the game. And you're like, wait a second, is this crew trying to make sure that Alabama gets the 3rd playoff spot? Like, they leave themselves open to that conversation. The NFL, it's like they're not trying to screw the Bengals to get the Ravens in because it's all out in the wash anyways. It doesn't matter. They're all making the same money. But in college sports, like, everybody's clearly doing their own thing. Nobody's doing anything for anybody else. They all pretend to, but it's all about the SEC or it's all about the ACC. And they have their own officials doing their own games. And then you can't tell me that people are stupid or silly for thinking, I wonder if that crew's not trying to help out that team to get this league their participants. So the more transparency you can have in officiating, especially at the college level, I am all for that.
Well, and then the other thing is they don't have to say anything after the game is over either, which I hope they change that eventually in trying to, the NFL, you got a pool reporter that gets to talk to an official.
Here's the thing. Even if they don't have to do that, this transparency is likely what the questions they have to answer. So it takes the need for that out of it a little bit. As a matter of fact, if the NFL did the same thing, the pool reporter would have less to do.
Right.
So
absolutely.
Basically, most of the time that you're going to ask a question about a thing might be on a penalty. Like it's going to be on a penalty. Why'd you not call pass interference here? Or why'd you call pass interference? Or this wasn't targeting or it was. But if it's on a replayable play that the play can change and everybody can hear what everybody said, the pool reporter doesn't have to go in there and go, so can you walk us through what you guys were seeing on this replay? Because to the other humans that watch this on the screen, it looked this way.
And then you could hear how they came to that conclusion, which answers it before the pool reporter has to do anything, as you mentioned. Now, the 5 names up for the Broyles Award for the best assistant coach in college football. Bobo at Georgia, Haynes at Indiana. And that's the part about Indiana that is so underrated. You get all the passing game and what Cignetti does as a head coach, but also an offensive mind. Heatherman at Miami. Matt Patricia at Ohio State, where some had questions about his transition to college. He's been phenomenal. And Shiel Wood, of course, joined us last week, the defensive coordinator at Texas Tech.
You don't have to say some. You can say Paul had a question about Matt Patricia. I had a lot of questions about it.
It's the holidays. I'm trying to be nice.
No, I did. I'll admit it. He proved me wrong. It's wild to see only one offensive coordinator on this list. And it's wild that offensive coordinator is Mike Bobo, considering how Georgia fans felt about him 365 days ago.
Or even 7-8 weeks ago, there were thoughts because.
But Mike Bobo's done a great job. And he's done, I think people just talking about Bobo here, he's done a really good job with the fact that, I think Georgia fans weren't used to the fact that they were not the Monstars anymore, that they were more like everybody else, now still really talented and really good and highly recruited players, but they were not just rolling out the team that they did in 2022. And Mike Bobo has made them a team that instead of just has to rely on superstars for points, they're gritty on offense. They're really gritty and tough.
They wear you down, and then they chip away, and then they go in with the anvil. And what they do in the fourth quarter sometimes is just mind-boggling.
Yeah, I mean, without really studying any of these guys and comparing and contrasting, I mean, the first two that jump out to me are Haynes and Wood. I think Indiana is just so impressive in every way, and defensively, I mean, yeah, it's fun to watch. But same goes for Texas Tech, and obviously that was a big part of their story this year. And as much as all of the focus and attention when it comes to Tech is typically on their payroll for their roster, don't make light of the payroll moves they made on the coaching side of things as well. I mean, going and getting Shiel Wood, making that move at DC, you had to make the move at OC because you had a coach leaving to go take another job, and you worked out really well there, but you made the move on defense, and that's your it factor this year. It's not the offense running wild and the air raid and all of that. They're good, but the defense is really good, and the defense is what's going to help them to win a national championship, if anything. So you saw Jacob Rodriguez taking home hardware this week, and maybe more coming his way. So, yeah, I think Shiel Wood has done an excellent job in a short amount of time there at Tech. And when you mention the big money edge rushers and all those guys, I mean, those were the toys he got to play with ultimately, but he had to put them in the right situations, and he definitely did that this year because Tech's defense was as good as I've ever seen it my entire life. I mean, I don't really recall when Zach Thomas was playing and exactly what the feelings were, but it wasn't even like this, right? Yeah. No. So, good, solid group. I mean, and nothing bad to say. Plenty good to say about the others as well, but just it's that Haynes and Wood really stand out to me the most as far as my watching goes this year.
All right, let's go through about 3 to 5 assistant coaching hires, and then we can discuss it, and then we come back with Taylor McHargue at 3:40. South Carolina, Michael Bishop, son, now the quarterback in that class of 2026, joins the staff at the University of Houston as an offensive assistant. Also,
his son's not. I mean, Keyshawn Henderson.
Keyshawn Henderson, I'm sorry. You're right. The Willis Yeah,
I was like
Keyshawn
really
Henderson.
confused for a second. I was like, huh?
Keyshawn Henderson, who's the number one quarterback in the country, signs with Houston. Michael Bishop was his high school coach at Legacy in Houston. He now is a part of the Cougars staff.
Well,
also,
I want to talk about this. I mean, it's Keyshawn Henderson's a big deal, and okay, so yeah, good job, Michael Bishop. It's cool.
No, go ahead. I was going to do a
I know we got to rifle through, so I mean, it's a good hire, and it makes a lot of sense for Houston.
All right. Also, other coaching news for assistant coaches. Brandon, fire him off. Randy Clements, TCU, will follow Kendall Broyles to South Carolina as the offensive line coach. Eric Mateos at Arkansas, now headed to Wisconsin. Both of those, all of them, Kendall, Randy Clements, and Mateos, were all at Baylor. And Cam Martin, this is a great story for us, former star player, did really well at Auburn. He now has been bouncing up that ladder in coaching and now appears to be headed to Florida State as at least the top target as their running backs coach.
Yeah, we've known him for a very long time because he committed to Baylor when he was a junior in high school and then wound up not coming because it was the whole Broyles transition and all that. But had a nice career at Auburn, although I still think he should have been the defensive back on the field. But he's been a very effective running backs coach and joins a staff that really needs help there, that has a really intriguing stable of running backs. I like that. Randy Clements and Kendall Broyles work great together. Hopefully they can rediscover a running game at South Carolina, which didn't exist at TCU. And Mateos and Grimes back together again. I know Baylor fans are telling Wisconsin fans, I'm not sure you want that.
Yeah, it didn't work out well last time they were together. By the end of it, it was a situation where that offense really wasn't humming the way that you were hoping that it would. So we'll see if reconnection elsewhere works out better this time around. But there's a lot of familiarity there, and they have worked together plenty. So there is that. But happy for Cam Martin. I mean, what a journey. Didn't carve out doing much in his college career for a pretty highly rated player. Thought that he would have more of an impact ultimately, but had some moments at Auburn, but nothing like leading him to the NFL or anything along those lines, and then quickly got into coaching and has moved up the ranks and was at UCF, as that mentions right there, and a few other spots. So good for Cam Martin as he continues to climb the ladder of coaching, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him as a head coach here in the next several years after some coordinator work. So congrats to that young man. Nothing but positives to say about him. And going back to the Michael Bishop thing, I was trying to get to the fact that it was kind of one of those the player coach sort of old school recruiting,
especially in
pickups
basketball,
they hired the AAU coach and wow, look, they landed this 5-star guy. Like, they didn't announce the coaching first, they announced the player first. But whatever works, and who knows, maybe this grew out of just nature because you talked to him so much, really, Fritz, that this relationship developed, and the next thing you know, you're like, well, what do you think about joining the staff? I don't know, but I'm a huge Michael Bishop fan. And I think that them being able to hold on to Henderson is just an absolutely massive deal for Houston, because I think you had to worry up until the ink was dry that he'd be a casualty of the late flip or something like that. But they held on to him. That's huge for them. And nothing wrong with having Michael Bishop chiming in on your offense and being there to help mentor and continue to guide Keyshawn Henderson as well.
Yeah, Keyshawn Henderson was going to probably get a second cell phone up until signing day.
Oh, yeah.
Might still have to have one anyway. I mean, dear God. But Michael Bishop's been on the show a bunch of times with us. He has a history going back to Willie Fritz when he was like a young kid, an elementary school kid, when Willie Fritz was a PE teacher before he was on, to his true college coaching destiny. And also, like, they do go back far. And this is sometimes the AAU coach and the player in basketball. You're like, okay, you hired him to be on the staff. Is he really going to do anything else? Like, this is also a little bit even beyond that. Like, this is Michael freaking Bishop here
Michael Bishop,
that you're adding to your staff, a guy who's played big-time football in a lot of big-time places, including the NFL, and is one of the great players in the Big 12's history. So what a double whammy for them.
What a full circle moment for Fritz and Bishop too. Yeah. Like this isn't the random uncle that's suddenly the assistant to the quarterbacks or something. Yeah, this is a guy that you've known for decades now at this point. And I wonder how much they ever thought about like a situation like this developing, where now they've come full circle to the point where this is this new young man that's this highly heralded guy that they now can both continue to to bring up and raise up and turn into whatever he can turn into in the next 3 years. So it's a very cool story that I'm sure guys like Sam and Max, depending on Henderson's level of success, will be writing about plenty over the years, the interweaving of Bishop and Fritz and how we got to this point. It's all very cool.
He also, remember, Fritz was at Blinn. Michael Bishop played at Blinn, and then eventually had the career, All-American career that turned Bill Snyder's program from pretty good to getting better to great, and just a little bit away from playing for a national title in '98.
We have huge breaking news right now. Huge breaking news. Sherrone Moore has been fired by Michigan.
Ooh.
Yeah, fired. According to Pete Thamos, Pete Nakos, all the Petes are saying that Sherrone Moore has been fired. We also didn't mention Jim Knowles is going to be the defense coordinator at Tennessee. We'll talk about that later. But Michigan fired Sherrone Moore.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind of why?
Well, given that I just saw it's for cause,
Yep.
then something breaking the rules. But, Adam Schefter, Pete Thamel now in the last 2 minutes, Pete Nake, I mean, all the same guys that have the same breaking news at the same time basically are all ... breaking this down the timeline here. So, it says for cause on the Schefter tweet, I believe, and don't see anything else to glean from it just yet, but I'm sure if we wait 30 seconds, there'll be plenty of information continuing to trickle and now just gush out here in the next few minutes.
We'll ask Taylor McHargue what he thinks about it. Plus, you in the chat, please do. Or you could get on Twitter and tag us and tell us what you think. You wonder if it's because even after what happened with the Connor Stallions and Jim Harbaugh, Sherrone Moore, which he was found to be a part of some of that, did he learn from that? Or maybe it's going back to even that. I don't know. We'll get into it. But thank you, Paul. Sherrone Moore. Craig, Michigan's head coach is gone. This is 365 Sports.
We got Petty.
PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man you want to be, need to be, and used to be. If you are sluggish, you're lethargic, you're not as energetic as you once were, then it might be your testosterone level has started to drop or has dropped dramatically. And there's a certain number that you need to be around. Of course, a lot of it depends on your age, but 1 out of every 3 or 4 men have symptomatic issues of low testosterone, energy, sex drive, performance, all of the above. And Dr. Kent Petty can help you out. Contact him, PettyClinicLowT.com. Tell him I sent you. He will then get you blood work. He'll get you set up to do that. Take care of it. Get the results. And if your testosterone level is too low, he will be in touch with you. And it's fine, he'll be in touch with you too, and give you an option, a program to increase your testosterone level so you can become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, and used to be at PettyClinicLowT.com.
Batteries Plus has teamed up with the Dallas Cowboys as the team's official battery recycling partner. Batteries Plus doesn't just sell batteries, they recycle them too. Customers can bring in old lithium batteries from power tools, power banks, and small electronics for a chance to win Cowboys tickets, a VIP experience, and more at qualifying locations. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
My go-to guy. Can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
You have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf cart batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a G-Fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
Golfballs.com carries the latest selection of golf balls, clubs, and gear from brands such as Titleist, TaylorMade, and Callaway. Golfballs.com remains the world leader in golf customization. And of course, online at golfballs.com.
Ubeo Business Services. We are a studies-based service organization that is the best in Texas when it comes to copiers, printers, and scanners. The way we quantify that is through a company used by millions of corporations called Net Promoter Score. What Net Promoter Score looks at are your Google reviews. We have a better Net Promoter Score than H-E-B with a 65 and Ritz-Carlton Hotels with a 70. According to Net Promoter Score, if you're a 70 or above, you're considered world-class in customer service. Ubeo Business Services is an 86 when it comes to Net Promoter Score. You can find us at ubeo.com, ubeo.com.
It's time to compete against yourself, finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco. Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, raise your cholesterol, and cause weight gain. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results. So if you're tired of being tired, call or go online at pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $165 a month, including lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, and follow-up visits, compared to $300 or more a month in Dallas or Austin. And you don't have to drive 90 miles one way or the other and fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T has board-certified physician consultations and will provide the best form of brand strength testosterone. Contact Petty Clinic Low T for increased energy, improvement in sexual desire and performance, mood, concentration, even a decrease in body and belly fat. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, pettycliniclowt.com.
It's football season, and we can create your outdoor tailgating spaces that is actually a part of your home. Bifold doors that tie in the inside and the outside, and you can gain anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 square feet living space, all while taking in the big game, poolside. Call us at Gather & Co. Kitchen and Bath, where we can create your unique tailgating space.
You got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Oh, good one.
100%. Batteries for my fleet of trucks?
Gas floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels. We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Taylor McHargue, we had a lot to get to, and we will. And then Paul, with the, my goodness, Sherrone Moore in Michigan. Taylor, your thoughts about it? We all kind of looked at it and have our own opinions. Your thoughts?
It's crazy that this is happening now, right? Right when all of the P4 coaching vacancies had been filled by this point, and it felt like for the most part in this cycle we had gotten through most of the craziness, and now Sherrone Moore let go, and I'm seeing this right as I come on with you guys. So looking at a couple things quickly, it looked like they're saying there was some off the field issues that they're firing him for cause, and so that's going to be interesting. What comes from that? Does this go back to the Connor Stallion sign stealing stuff? What I read initially is that it is not that there's some more that they have uncovered. I think the timing again is interesting, and now it's who are you going to get? The one name that, and again, this is after thinking about it for the last 2 minutes, but Kenny Dillingham in Arizona State is who I would, if it could go get one person right now, somebody that I think is a program builder and understands the NIL landscape probably better than anybody else, would be Kenny Dillingham. Now, Arizona State fans, don't come for me because I hope that he stays there. I think he's doing a great job for Arizona State, but with Sam Leavitt looking like being in the portal, you wonder if maybe that could be an interesting duo between the two of those.
Yeah, golly, that would be something else, because he is quite the coach. But also, the first thing I did before thinking about Kenny Dillingham was, who are Michigan alums that are coaches? Because that, when it comes to their hiring process, usually is their top criteria when they hire a coach. That they are inbred in that way in Michigan. They really don't like to go outside of it, but I can't really think of anybody right. Like Mike McDonald would have been the guy I thought of, but he's in Seattle. He's not leaving Seattle to take the Michigan job.
Yeah. Again, not a name that outside of Kenny Dillingham, there wasn't anybody else that I thought of off the cuff that jumped out. And I completely agree. From a Michigan standpoint, there's not a name that stands out. And again, all of the P4 jobs had been settled by this point. So this was, it kind of came out of nowhere. I think the timing is interesting. You wonder, for a place like Michigan, I would imagine they're not being caught flat-footed. What work has gone on behind the scenes? Is this a situation where they already know who? I would imagine they've already got a short list of who they're targeting. But we'll see. I mean, you saw how long it dragged on for Penn State. I guarantee you Matt Campbell was not in the top 2 or 3 guys that they initially were reaching out to. So for Michigan, we'll see how this transpires. But it is obviously shocking that Sherrone Moore's been let go, and kind of the timing in the cycle.
Taylor, the sports postseason is obviously in need of some makeover to some degree. Everybody's got their opinion on how to do that. And I think it just sucks that instead of celebrating this big announcement on Sunday and everybody being excited about the playoff, we're all like picking it apart from every single angle. And now you got this whole Notre Dame saga. Just kind of what have you made from your chair the last few days of all the stuff you've seen flying back and forth, and just kind of where we are right now as a sport and where it should be better?
Yeah, I'll go back to, we were just talking about Kenny Dillingham. I'll go back to his comments earlier this week that the sport is broken in a number of ways. The only thing that's not broken right now is the eyeballs and the dollars and cents. The sport is as popular as ever. It's the second most popular sport in America. It's NFL 1 and college football 2. And with all that being said, the calendar's got to get fixed. We were covering the Big 12 championship last week, and Joey McGuire talked about it at length. He signs his 7-year extension, and he says, I'm going to be here until I die. This is the last job I want. But that being said, we've got some problems in our sport with the cycle and timing of when coaches get let go, when players are allowed to be in the portal. I think some of that will be fixed with the portal. And in the bowl game opt-outs, I really can't stand. And both from a player perspective and especially from a team perspective, there are some things that I think in these contracts, now that players are really being paid, I think there's got to be some sort of clawback provision, or how these guys are getting paid out has to be impacted by, if you sit out of a bowl game, then there's some sort of recourse for clawing back some of that money. On the other side, for teams, I think it should be even more punitive, where I would go as far as saying you're hit with a postseason ban for the following year if you opt out. Just saying, regardless of what happened with your head coach, if your head coach leaves and you're trying to figure out what to do with your staff and you've got players that are deciding to opt out, I promise you there are enough guys in your building that you can go play a bowl game. And that, to me, we've gotten too far away from, you're here to coach and you're here to play football games. And I can't stand where we're at, where entire teams and players are saying, you know what, we got an opportunity to go play one more game for our school, and we're just not going to. I think it's lazy. I think that's a terrible example for your schools. I hate that Iowa State and Kansas State did this. I think the fine should have been more than what it was from the Big 12. And again, for Notre Dame, you want to be one of the leaders in the sport, which they are. They're a top 2 or 3 brand in the sport. I think it's childish how they handled this. They should have been in the playoff. I agree they should have been in the playoff, but BYU thinks they should have been in the playoff as well. And for them to be on Vanderbilt as well, for them to be one of the marquee brands in the sport and to take their ball and go home, I thought that was a joke from the Irish.
Taylor, things have changed, obviously, my goodness, in the last even 18 months or 4 or 5 years. If you were on a team today and you were the quarterback at whatever, Rice or wherever, and you were in this position and even somebody brought that up, what would you say? And would today's game change your opinion at all?
I think it's different between group of 5 teams and the power conference teams, because group of 5 teams, by and large, there's really not an opportunity to go compete in the college football playoff. We say that every year, but there's only a handful that really have a shot at it. I think what you're seeing with the power teams right now is Notre Dame, for example. It's become all about the playoff, and that's really it. And with the expansion of the playoff, I think we knew that was going to be the case. But that's where these bowl games, there's got to be more of an incentive for these players to play beyond just, and I hate that, I wish it was just pride, but that's not the case anymore. And you have a number of guys that are jumping in the portal because they're trying to be first in line to, if they can get in the portal early. Now, again, this will be solved when we get to the one transfer portal window in January. A lot of this will be fixed soon, but the teams opting out overall, you don't really see that as much from the group of 5 level. It's more of a power conference situation. And even a Baylor that had the opportunity to go to a bowl at 5 and 7, and there was just too much change that had happened. I would guarantee you there's a lot of guys in that building that would have said, yeah, absolutely, I'd love to go play one more right now.
Taylor, what do you think that the leadership of college, well, I mean, maybe we need just new leadership altogether of college football, but do you see any kind of thing that would happen that would make them really come together and try to fix these things and not treat them as one-offs?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I think we're probably headed towards a collision course of the leadership becoming whatever the SEC and the Big Ten determine it to be. And then everybody else is left to sort of fend for themselves. I hope that that's not the case. I wish that we had some sort of actual governing body that had some teeth that everyone had to sort of subscribe to and take part in. We don't have that right now. That's what the NCAA was forever. They had a vice grip on the sport. And when they took their hands off the scales, it's turned into this chaos that we have right now. And in a lot of ways, that's exactly what it is. I mean, having entire teams. When I was, my last year was 2013. Even 12 years ago, it would have been unfathomable to have a team just say, we're not going to play in our bowl game this year. And that's regardless of whether you're a group of 5 or a P4 team. So yeah, I think everyone agrees there needs to be some sort of governing body at large that actually has some saying power and they can actually enforce whatever you want to implement, that they can actually go enforce it. Because it's one thing to say it right now. I mean, the NCAA has been sued into oblivion. How many things can they really enforce?
Taylor, your thoughts on the heartbreak for Iowa State fans with the news of Matt Campbell going to Penn State? Kind of probably felt like for years and years they just been sort of getting away with, they get to keep him. He turns down jobs, and then this Penn State situation just drags out to the point where they finally turn to Matt Campbell. What do you think of Jimmy Rogers, and what do you think of an era post Matt Campbell for the Cyclones?
I would imagine, and some of the reaction of their athletic director's comments about Matt Campbell doesn't owe us anything. I would imagine most fans feel that way, and that understand Penn State is not the job doesn't come open very often, and when somebody knocks on your door with that job, you got to take it. And so for Matt Campbell, I've covered a couple of his games. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. I also have a tremendous amount of respect for Jimmy Rogers, who they brought in. Had a chance to cover him a few times, both in the regular season against Oklahoma State last year and in the FCS playoffs. I think he fits the culture at Iowa State. Hard-nosed, gritty, not a lot of nonsense. I think his time at Washington State, you also saw how hard they played there, gave Ole Miss a run for their money in Oxford. So I think for Iowa State, obviously it's heartbreaking to lose a coach that was so beloved there, where they went from, I was committed to Iowa State in 2008 and they were 2-10. It was when Gene Chizik was there, and then he leaves to take the Auburn job. And I remember, at the time thinking, man, this fan base is really passionate, and this program at the time was not very good. Well, now fast forward, Matt Campbell got them into being a consistent winner, bowl games every year, competing for Big 12 championships. And I do think Jimmy Rogers will keep them there.
So, Taylor, let's say that the carousel had not yet happened with all of the changes we've seen in college football with Franklin or whatever. Those who were available, who had been fired and they've taken jobs, who among those would be the perfect candidate for Michigan if they were still available?
Oh, my gosh. I think James Franklin would have been one that Michigan, despite what had happened at Penn State, I think Michigan fans would have Michigan fans would have probably been in a similar boat to how Penn State ultimately felt about James Franklin, that he was not going to win a national championship there. And I don't know that Michigan would have had the tolerance for Lane Kiffin. I tweeted a minute ago just as a joke that, Lane Kiffin to Michigan, I don't think that he fits what they aspire to be and what Michigan is. I really think, go back to Kenny Dillingham's understanding of, and I'm saying this name with this is just off the cuff, but his understanding of the NIL landscape and his energy and intensity that he brings to the job, I think it would serve him well at a place like Michigan. But look, this will be fascinating. This is not a program that I would be shocked if they made this decision without having a very short list already lined up.
Well, I just think of it like if Kenny Dillingham, I'll just function it right now. Look, he's out there like essentially on his hands and knees in Tempe right now, trying to get people excited about Arizona State football. you have Bryce Underwood, who's getting paid a lot of money to be the quarterback there. And Kenny Dillingham is a top 3 quarterback developer in the country. So before I even got to pick up the phone and call him, I'm feeling pretty good about like at least putting his number in the phone.
Yeah, 100%. And you mentioned Bryce Underwood. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure the details of his contract on if there's a head coaching change, what happens. I know that was a multi-year deal for him, but that's also, in this landscape of college football, these guys move around so much, and it is so much easier to move than obviously in the NFL. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Underwood. Does he stay in place? But again, it's the timing is so interesting because it felt like this was all settled, and now it's just opened all the way back up. And anybody that felt like they had settled their coaching search, I promise you, there's some athletic directors that are sweating over this a little bit.
You and our guy Shahan out there with CBS Sports in Arlington for the Big 12 championship game. Wasn't that competitive of a game? Obviously,
Yeah.
Texas Tech flexed their muscle again. But your thoughts on what was I was sick. I couldn't be there. Otherwise, I would have been. But the atmosphere from your standpoint and just what it means overall. And Taylor, I got to ask this too because I don't know how long we'll have you. But does this make you rethink how things played out? The whole, we're going to earn our spots. Don't give us 2 bids automatically. We're just going to go out there and earn it because, man, the committee does not care about BYU.
No, they don't. And I think BYU, the way that they lost to Texas Tech the first go around, I think is why they were slotted where they were. I think this league was right on the cusp of really having a shot at getting 2 teams in the college football playoff. But I'll go back to the first question. The environment was incredible. I mean, they set an attendance record for the Big 12 championship. Over 85,000 people were at this game. And that for the league, for Texas Tech, I mean, this bottled up emotion for years, their first Big 12 championship. And the way that they've done it, they didn't luck their way into it. This was not a team that won their league at 8-4 or a Duke situation at 7-5. They were the dominant team in the league all year. The only game they lost, their starting quarterback wasn't playing. And for Texas Tech, I really believe, standing on the sidelines, watching this defense play, this is a top 2 or 3 front in college football. I think they're every bit as good as Oklahoma in terms of their front 7. I think they match up well against Oregon. I know there's a lot of people around the country that still look at that double T for Texas Tech and say, think of the teams from the past that just score a ton of points. But this team they are built on their defense. They've got the best linebacker in the country in the middle of Jacob Rodriguez, and their front 4 gets after the quarterback. So BYU, I don't think this was a playoff team. Ultimately, when you saw them against Texas Tech the second go around, with where they were already slotted, it makes sense that you have the teams that were ahead of them, and even a Miami, a Notre Dame, obviously. I understand why they were where they were, but for the Big 12, I thought this was a big step forward in trying to improve the brand and still trying to build towards getting 2 teams in the playoff.
Man, I tell you what, you're right. The disrespect is on. There was a discussion on ESPN, as you may have seen that they were looking at Notre Dame, Alabama, and who was the Miami. And BYU wasn't
off
even
the
in
graphic.
Like old tiny graphic, and it's almost like it's crazy.
It's very intentional. Like it's obviously
it does seem
intentional.
to be very. It's a perfect word. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think BYU, the way that they lost against Texas Tech, obviously impacted them. But I also think that it was probably skewed a little too far against the Big 12 and against BYU. It was amazing. If they have a logo out of anybody in the SEC, I promise you they would have been in the top 10.
Taylor, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Are you doing any of the any other playoff games, or you have a bowl game? What is your schedule?
Yeah, I got the D2 National Championship next week in McKinney. I've got that one again. And we'll see on the bowl front. I think there maybe some things shake loose, but for now, wrapping up our show on Inside the 12, and then I've got that national championship in Dallas.
Thank you, bud. Appreciate it.
He's not opting out of a bowl game.
No,
waiting for the invite.
Never.
You're not.
Never.
No. Taylor McHargue, CBS Sports, with his former Rice quarterback, and many things to get to. Biff Poggi, he's done this before, will be the interim head coach for Michigan. They play Texas, remember, in a bowl game coming up.
Yeah, so that takes some definite spice out of that game. I mean, it'll still be cool, but it's not quite what it was now that you've got an interim head coach for one of the teams. But the word's out on what Sherrone Moore did now. The word's swirling around, and inappropriate relationship with a staff member is what is being reported as for his dismissal. And if you go, wait a second, I've seen that. Apparently there's been rumors swirling around for a good little while now that some people have just dismissed as like Ohio State fans stirring up trouble or just internet message board kind of fodder that's just kind of being pulled out of nowhere. But actually, I guess in this case, it was not being pulled out of nowhere. There was something to it, which is seemingly becoming more common nowadays. Is like you do kind of have to side eye everything you see. Is like, is that possibly somebody who knows something? Because if you do, you can just jump on social media and create an account, or maybe you've had a burner for years and that's how you put stuff out into the ether. But regardless, this started to get out there and talked about. And then I guess it's just kind of been to the side. And now it's very much front and center because, yes, he has been fired. Sherrone Moore is head coach of Michigan, reportedly because of an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. So there is your for cause on his departure.
Yeah. I reached out to a couple of people who would know, and they told me, and then like literally Twitter had it, right after. But Zach Barnett, actually, who's going to be on the show, I had asked him about it, and he said these things have been they've been trying to run it down, Football Scoop for weeks about the rumors, like what's really going on there, So, and we'll have Zach Barnett on Friday to, maybe add some more clarity to it, because by then I'm sure there might even be more details out about this. But
what I don't know, bizarre's what a year in college sports.
Yeah, I mean it's a year where we've seen. I guess it was last year we thought there was a bunch of jobs. Like, man, there's no way there's going to be that many types of jobs this year. And I'm just wondering, like, next year it feels like it should be safe to say that. I just can't imagine how there could possibly be that many jobs that open up the way that they have this year. Like, I don't think there's enough schools with coaching situations to lead to the type of year we've had here. It's not going to be able to continue topping itself, because then there's never going to be anybody who stays anywhere past 2 years. But, yeah, I mean, Florida, Penn State, Michigan now, LSU, various other SEC schools, Oklahoma State, and the list goes on and on and on for all these moves that you finally feel like it's sort of calming down. I had a little list I was just putting together to keep track myself and kind of organize it a little bit, and finally like filled in the last blank the other day and felt like there was one job, like there was one single job that was still remaining. I thought
not James Madison.
It was Wazoo. I mean, now with no Jimmy Rogers, and then Coastal Carolina, I believe, still unfilled. So those are two of them. But you're looking at 27 jobs that mostly were affected by firings, and then some of them affected, like 4 of them by those coaches then moving on. So that would have been Matt Campbell moved on, obviously. Jimmy Rogers left Washington State and created that one. Ole Miss hired within, so on and so forth. But yeah, it's been wild, absolutely wild. There's no way to continue topping this, but this is a big bombshell to kind of put the final chapter in place.
Mike Porter said, "Does anyone remember when college football wasn't a soap opera?"
You know what? When I had time off, I was thinking about that, because there's a lot of stuff I was sitting on Twitter and I was like, I don't feel good enough to get involved in this right now. And there's parts of it. It is very much, at least for a certain section of men, it is their soap opera now, like without a doubt. And it was before. It's just even more so is now. And I think for a new generation of people who love the messiness of it, the chaos of it, it's there in spades. And so, yeah, it's very much a soap opera now more than ever before. And the coverage is part of that.
I do think that it's a fair compared. Like, okay, so like All My Children, Days of Our Lives, shows like that, General Hospital have been on for like 50 years, like maybe even longer. So if a show stays on that long and it's on every day, which soap operas are, eventually you have to make like wild plot twists even wilder, which soap operas always do, like, oh, he died, but he's not dead. All those different things. He was really lost at sea and now he's got an eye patch. Like those kind of things. It is college footballs, and it's like the writers have run out of ideas. And they're just like, jumping in the shark all the time.
Pro wrestling was the soap opera for guys there for a long time. Again, girls too, they got a huge female fandom as well. But I mean, that was kind of what you saw as like the male version of soap operas, was the goofiness and the silliness of pro wrestling. But no, I think college football's topped it. And actually, you know what? I know it's topped it because the drama on the college football side is way more interesting than what's going on in any wrestling right now by 10 times. So yeah, it's the stuff of Hollywood writers, but it's actually real life happening. And just when you think like the season finale is coming up and they're gonna go quiet for a few months, it's like dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Michigan head coach caught in affair, fired, and now here comes their job opening and the ensuing chaos that will stem from whoever they now go after.
There's now a hot board. Top 3 names: Kalen DeBoer, Lincoln Riley, and Brian Kelly.
Man, I don't know that I would love Brian Kelly if I was Michigan, but I mean, he makes some sense if you're just popping off names right now. Kalen DeBoer, does he not love Alabama? Is that what we're trying to point out here? Is that he wants every job north of the Mason-Dixon line, and he's regretting moving to Tuscaloosa because he keeps popping up in all of these lists now. If there was a job to leave Alabama for, it would be Michigan, even more so than Penn State. And who was the other one?
Lincoln Riley.
I mean, there's too much smoke about him not being totally down with what USC is at this point in time. Like, I don't know. I think the guy sometimes catches a bit too much flack. Now, he has underachieved compared to where he was when he left Norman on that late night flight and the national championship on the cusp of head coach that he was. Like, he's been nothing close to that in LA. There's reasons to believe they've had some steps towards that, and there's been some positives here and there, but I mean, they are nothing near the elite level of teams that OU was, and all you hear now is like not even about what they did do well this year and Jade Mayaba and all that. It's about him looking around for every single job. I mean, there's rumoring for Baylor job 4 weeks ago, and I don't know what to make of that other than I've heard it so many times now. I've got to believe there's something to it.
I also think Michigan's a school that could go prime. I mean, an NFL assistant. I mean, considering
sure as hell make their offense better, Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, I mean,
one of the names that somebody in the chat mentioned was Joe Brady.
Yeah, I mean, like the
head coach. I think that's a bit of a step too far.
I would think somebody who's in their kind of tree of what they've had the last few years that have maybe gone on to the NFL and taken some
Jesse Minter.
Yeah, Jesse Minter.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That's one that makes sense. Because he
was the defensive coordinator at Michigan at one point.
They are very famous for they're not outside. Like, they don't like people who haven't been
a Michigan. You got to be a Michigan.
I think Jesse
man, right?
Minter makes a lot of sense, and I don't think you can just outright dismiss. Like, not to dismiss that Chatter's name there. I think that's probably they're gonna pick from a higher level of the tree than that. They're Michigan, right?
Yeah.
So. You do think that a way to kind of climb the branches quicker would be to be a Michigan man, and I think Jesse Minter would make a ton of sense given how his career's played out.
Well, he was there when Harbaugh was there, right? When they won the national title, and now at with the Chargers in LA.
Another name I saw thrown around already. It's 5 minutes of this already. Jed Fish. As possibilities, but he's also a guy now. It's like, does he clearly regret the move to Washington? Because he's rumored for every job now that opens up as well, it seems like. But of the names I've heard so far, like Brian Kelly and Jesse Minter, I think that's a probably pretty good starting point. And I'm sure there's some guys we're not thinking of right now and some secrets that they may have up their sleeves. Who knows? But what a shockwave that now Michigan's on the clock.
Sherrone Moore has been fired for cause, and now Biff Poggi will be the interim coach for their bowl game against Texas. I did see this from Eric. He does Inside Texas, and he goes, can we get to a point where a coach is fired where we immediately start seeing, okay, who can they poach? Who can you poach? Because guess what? Someone's going to take his job, and that roster then can be poached. It's never ending.
So what would he have people do instead?
I just think he wishes it could just not react so quickly about it.
Welcome to 2025. I mean, I get the sentiment there, but that's just not realistic at all, and we're never going back to that point.
Yeah, it's such a morbid part of the sport that people immediately focus on which players their school can poach. Try and keep in mind a new coach will be hired, and you might want to poach that school's player.
That's a completely different thing,
man. But here's what I'll tell you about Michigan. They also probably made this decision knowing they're paying their roster a crap load, so they probably don't have to worry like other people do.
No, the way you first said that, I thought you were talking about us speculating about coaches right away. It's what else would you have us do? Like, you just fired a guy. Like, that's exactly what you do. But, I mean, going and talking about poaching players, like, I'm not into that part of the college football fandom whatsoever, but I know that there's Ohio State fans out there that are already going like, man, can we get that safety to come join us? And it's the Vultures, man. The Vultures, or the Sharks. There's blood in the water now in Ann Arbor, and you can best believe that in this sport, there's going to be people circling above within seconds, and so clearly that's already happening.
Jeff Brom, there's going to be a lot of names. Thanks for that. Fight On and others who put that in the text or in the chat. Thank you very much. We're going to have Craig Smoak and his Big 12 Mojo Rankings, but what was Taylor McHargue talking about Kenny Dillingham and how he handles football? This is a note from Dillingham about football in general.
If somebody wants to enter the portal and be a part of our team, they have 100% the ability to be a part of this team. This is the 2025 team. Unfortunately, this is like the bridge in today's era between the 25 team and the 26 team, right? But this is the 25 kids team. If anybody wanted to be a part and go through prep and play in the game and be a part of this team, they have the right to do that because this is still their team.
That's Kenny Dillingham on if a player enters the portal but wants to still play, practice, get ready for the bowl game, he can do that. Not every coach probably has that same philosophy.
I think Kenny Dillingham's a freaking star, and I think his stock is only going to go up. I don't know how Arizona State's going to be able to keep him for too long unless they just really, really up their NIL and they do everything at his possible disposal as they can, because he's a star in the making, in my opinion. I think he's a great coach, and I think he's hit the nail on the head every single time when he's been given a controversial thing to talk about. He always has a logical and player-friendly reason for why he does things the way he does things. And so, yeah, that goes against what a lot of people would typically say is like, you decided to leave us, well, then you're not a part of us anymore. But like he said, he explains it very well. This is the 2025 team still. So if you're on the 2025 team, you can play in the 2025 bowl game. And yeah, not every coach is going to handle that way, but he continues to impress me. He really does. And so, yeah, if I was Michigan, I'm at least kicking the tires on him. I would at least look into it a little bit. And unless he just loves Arizona State so much, like regardless of that, he's going to be on the top of the list for every job that opens up here over the next 5 years.
He's an Arizona State grad,
right?
But Chaparral High School, he's from there. If Arizona State has ever been able to, other than Frank Kush, who was there forever and won, you have him. You hope that if he just needs a few extra things, you find those extra things for him.
The thing I would say about Michigan in particular, if you're an Arizona State fan, the thing you have to cling to is he might be too hard to sell to their snooty
he doesn't
Michigan people.
Feel like a Michigan guy.
He doesn't feel like a Michigan guy, mostly because he's not very severe.
Right. He's not kind of hardened.
He's not Harbaugh. He's not Schembechler. He's not Lloyd Carr. Michigan likes coaches that don't seem to mind the cold weather. And if you have a thick jacket on, they're like, you baby.
Yeah, no, my thing, he's a West Coast boy, and my thing is just that he's going to be on the top. If every school that opens up doesn't at least look at Kenny Dillingham, I think they're moronic. Yeah, and that's my point, is whether it's Michigan or whoever, that if you have a head coach opening from now until whenever, you better at least kick the tires on Kenny Dillingham.
All right, when we come back, Craig Smoak was going to do the Big 12 Mojo Rankings last week. Well, he wasn't feeling very well, and I'm glad to have him back, so we'll do it today. How did it all end up after the championship game with Texas Tech mauling BYU to win both the second time, but also where does the 16 teams, who moved up, who moved down, who didn't move at all? We know that Texas Tech didn't change. That's next. This is 365 Sports.
Baylor Club?
The Baylor Club inside McLean Stadium off I-35 in Waco, and they have renovated the club, and they continue to do so. But also, they're offering you, if let's say you're a business owner or somebody that has a special event coming up in the month of January or February, a special promotion that they've extended through the rest of this month. If you book an event in January or February of next year, during this month, before the end of December, you'll also receive your free choice of decor that you want to use or free audio-visual, which is a big deal if you're hosting something and you need the audio and visual. We do that when it comes to the Academic All-Stars program. Plus, of course, the decor is also fantastic as well. If you have a corporate gathering, if you have a celebration, kickoff luncheon, kickoff event, private events, they will handle it for you. Contact them. Go to BaylorClub.com. You could also then, by having the event stress-free, let them, the Baylor Club and their staff, fully support you and get that done. Also excited that they have new food items, cocktails, also new cocktails that are on the restaurant menu. It's the Baylor Club. Tell them we sent you from 365 Sports inside McLean Stadium off I-35 in Waco.
I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
No car payments for 90 days when you bring your auto loan home to Genco. Get 4.79% for 48 months and make no payments until 2026. Plus, get entered to win 3 months of no car payments. Bring your auto loan home to Genco. Lower your interest rate, save money, and no payments until 2026. For details, go to GencoFCU.org.
My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
All right, back here on 365 Sports and getting into our last batch of Big 12 Mojo Rankings. Intended these for last week to just kind of wrap up the regular season, even with the one game to play. But just could not be here health-wise. So finally here and able to roll these on out. And I got to tell you, with all the stuff that's happened, like Iowa State's lost a coach and Sam Levitt's officially gone. And so this is kind of like put together based on, yes, the results as always and the mojo, but the mojo's like fluctuated wildly for like the last several days. So what looked like it was going to be kind of a clean cut, like barely any movement, right? Just like kind of deciding who between BYU and Texas Tech would finish number one. Now it's just like all over the place. So I'm going to try to be as logical as I can with something that is very subjective to begin with. But here we go. Let's roll out the bottom four and let's just get into it. And bang. You guys have been asking for it. And in light of a new AD hire, maybe they shouldn't drop all the way. But you know what? That's not enough to overcome the mojo entering the offseason. And I don't think there's any program, no matter what the win-loss records look like, that has less mojo right now than the Baylor Bears. Like, I think from a wins-losses standpoint, no, they're not at the bottom of the standings, but this is the mojo ranking, so it's not based just entirely on your wins and losses, because that would just be your standings or basically what becomes your power ranking. This is about the total picture, and they filled a big blank there with the hiring of Doug McNamee, but it is a very uncertain hire how it's going to work out. Like, this is a total gamble on their part, and even a fan base that can typically kind of go along with things or is just happy to have some good news. Like, thank God we just hired an athletic director. I've seen plenty of fans that are like, I don't know. This is kind of a risk here. So time will tell ultimately, but finished with an absolute thud against Houston, declined the bowl game. Players already getting skimmed off the roster. You have Matthew Powledge leaving. There's just so many questions and just so much going on right now. They at least got their athletic director in place, but for the meantime, they have the least mojo of anybody, I feel like, right now.
He's only had the job for 3 days,
right?
Like, officially.
He can't flip them that quickly.
It's not like, and Doug knows that. Like, Doug knows that, like, the especially when it comes to football, the mojo is low. And so that's why he has this job. I mean, bottom line, because they think he can get that up. And I think part of it is with the Baylor fans nervous about it, and I understand that, but like, Doug's lived here for a long time, so I think a lot of people, like, they don't want you to hire somebody they know, even if they like them, because especially when it comes to sports, I want you to hire somebody from somewhere else that's gonna be like, whoa, this guy was at this bigger school, and now he's gonna bring that expertise to here. I think that's the biggest thing, because Doug didn't win the press conference as far as a name, because he's always just been here. So I think that's part of it with some fans that weren't just wowed.
Yeah, there's some that want to keep it inside the family, so to speak, which can be maybe a positive, and it also can be a set of eyes that maybe is too close. I was having breakfast today with a guy that's he's a very good friend of Doug McNamee, but I was having breakfast with him. A guy walks up to say hi to him. And he goes, so what do you guys think about the AD hire? And it wasn't as if you could tell he was all that impressed. Well, the guy, Brian, I was having breakfast with said, well, he's a very good friend of mine. I think it's a great hire, and here's why. And he started listed off some reasons. But that job has been filled. Not everybody is yet on board with it.
No, and so my point here is that that's at least a positive, but without that, there is nothing else. Like, you filled a job. We'll see how that goes. But other than that, there is nothing else that you're really kind of rolling the banners out for right now. So I think in terms of the present, the recent past, and the future, nobody feels more kind of lost right now than Baylor football does. Colorado stays at 15, 5 consecutive losses to end the season, no bowl game, 1-8 record in the Big 12. And Deion's back, so there is that. But I think even the mojo sort of surrounding him, like, it's all focused on Cleveland and Shador, and like some of that can rub off on your program, but it's not rubbing off on Colorado in any way right now. And so they just stay where they are. No reason to move them. UCF, kind of the same thing. I mean, they've got a lot of things to figure out in the offseason. I think they are still very much a fan base that some were never in on Scott Frost Part 2 to begin with, but at least there were some that were open-minded. And I think those open-minded people still don't know quite where to put both feet in just yet because of the way the season went. There are plenty of reasons to believe, like, this is not going to be good ultimately overall, and you might be looking for another coach in a couple of years. And there's also plenty of reason to believe of, like, no, there's a couple signs of, like, okay, like, it's not going to be a quick ascent, but you can go add some talent this offseason and move up a little bit. So we stay with UCF there at number 14. And Oklahoma State, look, they've lost a billion consecutive Big 12 games. It's been just absolutely awful stuff for them for going on a couple of years now. But they aren't that far off from Ollie Gordon winning a Doak Walker Award and playing for back-to-back Big 12 titles. And now this influx of energy and positivity with the hire of Eric Morris, that alone bumps them up and gives them some buzz and excitement entering this offseason. If this was just pure wins and losses, obviously they'd be where they were throughout the entire season at number 16. But in terms of mojo, they actually have some for the first time in a long time, and we'll see what Eric Morris can do with that. But unlike the other three where it's like put up or shut up for Deion. Scott Frost, like, go prove it, and Baylor, do something. Like, figure your situation out. I think Oklahoma State has a path that's going upwards for at least right now that they can be excited about. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I do. For Colorado, I love the Brendan Marion hire at offensive coordinator.
Yes, I should have mentioned that, yeah.
I love it. I think that's great. I think that he's going to bring some real innovation to that offense, and it's outside – Brendan Marion is outside of Deion's buddy hires.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and look, Deion has a lot of, like, it'd be hard not to be a buddy hire for Deion because he has great relationships inside the football world. So he's played a lot of places. He's been a lot of places. Everybody knows Deion. So it's hard not to have that. But I do think that as you approach this next step of life without the first wave, it is good to get a guy who is so up and coming and talented as a coach like Brendan Marion.
And maybe that should have pushed them over UCF for like 14, the Brendan Marion hire, perhaps. You could argue that, but it was 104-degree fever doing this. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
But no, I mean, that's a good thing to point out, and that does give them a little bit of juice that I probably didn't factor in enough for Colorado. So maybe in flipping this around, they're 14 rather than 15. All right, to the next batch of group of schools here. There's KU. I mean, they're just sort of there, guys. Like, they're just kind of there. And fill in any blanks, because I've tried to follow the news cycle for the last week, but there's also a lot that I'm sure I've missed out on. But Kansas, they're kind of just the boat's drifting, and you don't know if it's about to go off Niagara Falls or if it's got a steady little path down a stream where it's going to just keep doing what it's doing. But there's not a lot of excitement there right now. That's for sure. Cincinnati not closing out on a very hot run, and now lots of rumors about Brendan Sorsby and how much of a commodity he will be in the transfer portal coming up here over the next few weeks. A team that once again failed to finish strong, losing 4 straight games and going from being a Big 12 contender to basically just finishing 5-4 in the Big 12 and right in the middle of the pack. So what looked like it had the chance to be a really standout type of a year ended up being just a pretty good year overall. So we'll see how they do, moving forward in the bowl game and whatnot, but have them at number 11 just because of the way the season just was going downward. West Virginia, now standings-wise, they should be more towards the bottom, but I feel like they've at least got some excitement building of all of the new signees, on like 40-plus guys. I mean, you look at their breakdown for their roster, it's like 2 quarterbacks, it's like 11 wide receivers. It's like 11 defensive backs, 7 wide receivers, 8 offensive linemen. Like, it's crazy the amount of new players that they're going to be bringing in. So there's at least that freshness and that newness of, all right, now Rich Rod can flip this thing more to his liking, and he'll have more options everywhere to play around with. And I think, unlike UCF, where they're still like, I don't know about this part 2 thing, I think WVU fans feel like, no, we're in good hands. We made the right call at the right time. Plus, Ren Baker decides to stick around when he could have very much come to Waco.
Yep.
He stays there, which says a lot about that job and the job he's doing there. So West Virginia at number 10, up just a spot, because I think that the wins and losses are going to matter starting next year. But while they weren't great, there's at least some signs of the stock pointing up right now in Morgantown. And then Iowa State.
Well, they also, didn't they flip a guy on National Signing Day that was a high running back, like a 4 or 5-star?
They might. I mean, you're getting me into the weeds, but I think they did.
That excited everybody.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, I don't have every little detail memorized, but yeah, I think you're right on that. And they did have a very good signing class. They ranked highly in the Big 12 and nationally. It was like a top 20, 25-ish class. So, I mean, that's also something I did take into account for them moving forward. And then Iowa State, you lose Matt Campbell. I mean, maybe you could have dropped him to 16th, but they reacted so quickly in hiring Jimmy Rogers, and we'll see how it works out for them ultimately. But an 8-4 year, you won 3 games to close the season, but man, that's Matt Campbell's program, and for him to be plucked out of there, that's going to drop you a bit when it comes to the mojo for sure.
Yeah, and I think Jimmy Rogers will probably be pretty good there. But again, everything is an uphill climb when it comes to taking over your job. For West Virginia compared to UCF, I think part of the thing is that West Virginia fans can feel Rich Rodriguez's excitement, and because he is so boisterous, and Scott Frost is not. I mean, he's very chill. He's very
low key.
Very low key. So he might feel the same way that Rich Rodriguez does inwardly, but outwardly, Rich Rodriguez is, Go Mountaineers.
Let's go
drink
ears
beer.
versus let's go ears.
Yeah, it's like, and Scott Frost is like just really happy to be back here and thrilled. This is great for my family. And that's all. Like, no one style is better than another. The styles that work are the styles that win. But I do think that like the outward, like just exuberance of Rich Rodriguez gives their fans a little bit more excitement because they're like, man, this guy has not lost a beat when it comes to being happy to be here.
And so on that point,
there's hope. There's hope.
Yeah, there's hope there. And so on that point, this isn't the final standings. It's the final standings. It's the past couple of weeks, and it's the way you find yourself here at the end of the season. And I feel like this is something we'll revisit in the springtime and have like the spring version 3 months later of what everything looks like once the portal settles in, and then like a midsummer check-in, and then get back to like the regular weekly thing. So this is this early postseason, bowl season, kind of where I find these teams situated moving into the bowls and then into the offseason. And maybe we do one after the bowl games are over with, because obviously that could affect some things as well. On to the next batch as we roll on along here. Kansas State up 2. Now you would think, well, they lost a coach, but they love the new coach way more than they miss the old coach, I think is fair to say. And I think Kansas State showed some fight there at the end of the year. Won their final game, had the option to go to a bowl game, obviously decided not to do so with the Kleiman news, but you turn around and you hire Colin Klein. So what was a pretty miserable season, a very bah humbug type of season for Kansas State at this point now where we find ourselves today, is a very exciting offseason and a very exciting future and some mojo being built, because now it's the Colin Klein era. If Chris Kleiman had left or had stayed, then I think they're probably down at 10 or 11, somewhere like that. But the fact that he left, they filled it with who they filled it with. That to me put Kansas State in the mojo rankings at least up just a little bit. And then the number 7, Arizona State. And I feel like I probably dropped them a little bit too low in looking at it right now. This was based off of Sam Levitt and just kind of all the uncertainty surrounding that. But I just got done talking about Kenny Dillingham, and as I'm talking this out and knew this segment was coming, I was like, I think I might have dropped Arizona State a little bit too low. Like, I think maybe over the Levitt thing, I drop them like 2 spots, not 3, quite frankly. So that one, I'm not sold on that, and I could be talked out of that being maybe a little bit too low. But I do think Kenny Dillingham will find a great quarterback, and they will ramp right back up.
He already
this
said
thing.
that too.
Yeah, I mean, and he will, and he'll go find somebody who's great. So Arizona State, I don't love my ranking there, but it's kind of hard to gauge these things when so many different things are being taken into account. And that Levitt news, just as far as the mojo goes, it was a bit of a hit. TCU losing Kendall Broyles, guys, it looks like, to South Carolina, but their fan base is actually like, do you need help packing your bags, Kendall? We will be more than happy to help you out of here.
The reaction was very, very much leaning towards see you.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised to see that a little bit. And then again, there's plenty that were never on board with him to begin with. And this is a team that maybe you'd have Arizona State still over now that I'm looking at this and playing it all out. But won a couple of games to close the year, 8-4 overall, a good season for them. So I don't think there's any problem with TCU being a top 6 team as we enter bowl season here for the Big 12, because that's, if you look at overall records, basically what they were just on the cusp of being. So again, it all kind of jumbles together. Houston up 3 spots. You signed the big 5-star, man. You got your big time quarterback there and Keyshawn Henderson. You win 9 football games. And you're going to be going bowling, and I think it's a crucial time for a program, for as many as want to kind of throw things away. That's crucial for a program like Houston, where they're not. It still feels like they're somewhat of a college football team, and not like the big business that college football is. Now they still have some things that are big business they're going to have to deal with, including holding off every suitor for Keyshawn Henderson.
Right.
But they got him. They've hired Michael Bishop now, which brings the whole Willie Fritz Bishop's story full circle. You won your final game against Baylor. So, yeah, you're going into the bowl season and feeling strong about things. And I think you're excited about the direction of everything right now. And, Garrett, how excited are you about – I mean, this is like your 2 worlds colliding, Houston and LSU playing down in the Texas Bowl. Are you going to be there?
I want to go to this. I'm not going to be able to make it down there. I'm really fascinated about how this game turns out. Looking at LSU's roster, you have so many people who are opting out of this game. Frank Wilson's going to be coaching. Yeah, Frank Wilson's going to be coaching. Lane Kiffin wants no part of it. And then if you look on the other side, Willie Fritz is like, we have nobody opting out.
Yeah.
Connor Wigman's coming back. You're in H-Town. I think this is a really pivotal game, and Houston can – I think Houston can make it interesting. I don't think they can necessarily beat LSU. And I made the comparison because I think defensive-wise, LSU and Texas Tech are the best two teams they've matched up with as far as like skill positions. So I'm interested to see how that challenge goes. I think LSU gets to win, but you also got to think 2027, they open the season up against each other again. So that's also going to be fascinating.
Did not realize that.
Yeah, so they're going to play here, and then you open the season up in Houston next year. So there's so much going on here, and if Houston can get this win, the momentum that you can carry over into next season is unreal, dude.
Yeah, they have a lot working right now, and if they go beat LSU, then you turn that into it's a 10-win season, 5-star quarterback. Like things are just rolling on along there for Fritz and the Cougs. All right, to the top 4 now, and shouldn't be too hard to kind of shake this up, at least as far as the top 3. But Arizona, man, give Arizona their flowers, dude.
9-3, baby.
9-3. You know what? There's one thing, like if we ever do a segment of things you were most wrong about throughout the season, which for me, it's like a 10-second video. But no, in all seriousness, that BYU choke. I was not in love with Brent Brennan after that game. And you could see it if you go back and watch the tape. Tell me I'm lying. But in the fourth quarter, he's like, come on, guys. And he's fired up. And his team looks like they have no pulse whatsoever. And I just was in that moment. And then they lose that game. And I was just like, dude, they like this guy? Like, I really don't. Like, they're not fired up at all in the heat of this battle against this great team. And then they let it slip away. And then all they proceeded to really do after that is go and just be really good week in and week out. And they just kind of kept winning games. And people sort of took notice, but not really. And they lost that BYU game, then lost to Houston in a very close game, a game they could have won. And just like the BYU game, guys, they're not far off from being like freaking 10-2 or 11-1 in all seriousness. Like the only game that was out of bounds for them was they got crushed by Iowa State early on in Ames. But other than that, they should have won that BYU game. And that Houston game, Garrett, they could have won that game, right? I mean, that was very much for the taking. So you're looking at like a legit 11-1 team possibly. Now, they're going to lose Noah Fafita. That's going to take some heart out, and they'll be demoted for that maybe depending on who they replace him with at a different time. But give Arizona their flowers. 9-3, easily could have been 10 or 11 wins. Closed out with 5 consecutive wins, and just feeling like a team that felt good about who they are and where they are and not having to deal with all this other nonsense that's kind of been going around. So for that reason, they jump up a spot. And then the top 3 pretty much been the top 3 for the last like 6 weeks or so. Utah, with their new private money, I did not bump them up for that just because, well, BYU's got plenty of money and Texas Tech has plenty of money. So it's not like they're winning the money game all of a sudden, but that was an interesting story to come across. Really strong year for them, but just not quite as good of a year as it was for BYU and Texas Tech. And obviously very easy to decide between those two because we've got 2 very prominent examples of head-to-head, and one just last weekend that gives you the crown, the trophy, and the stack of cash and the cowboy hat there to the Texas Tech Red Raiders over the BYU Cougars for that number 1 spot. So this is the season. This is the last couple of weeks, and this is where the mojo is for these programs in the Big 12, accumulating all of that together, and now as we enter bowl season. So we will revisit this like in February or something, or March when spring ball rolls around, and see where we are then, because best believe something's going to change for most, if not everybody here.
The portal is going to be
and everyone's pretty much every year we've discussed this. Usually there's 2 or 3 teams that completely outperform in a good way what the expectations were. This year, if you look at that left column, I think everyone knew that Houston could be will be better. Willie Fritz another year, but the Arizona, they win the crown for the team that absolutely was much better than anyone would have predicted, although we didn't get to do that because there's no preseason poll. Arizona State dropping 3.
That's the one I'll say, okay, maybe they dropped 2.
Maybe they just
1.
drop behind Houston in front of TCU.
Yeah, I mean, that could be something that you could do. Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's the one where I probably feel like I was a little bit too harsh in the moment, because if I would have watched the Kenny Dillingham video reacting to Sam Levitt, I would have been like, you know what? They're totally in control and they're totally fine. But when I put this together, it was when Levitt became official, and I just sort of left it as is. And so, yeah, that's the one that I would be in agreement on. Like, maybe put them at like 6 instead of 7. But I mean, there's not much difference there.
There's not much difference there. Yep. Texas.
And plus, they lost to Arizona when we last saw them, by the way. They lost their final game, so take that into account.
There's a copyright infringement on this thing. Do you see what it is? What is that to the right of Arizona's up?
Oh, the cactus.
Isn't that Texas Tech's little?
Well, I don't think they can claim.
They don't claim all cacti.
I don't think they can either, because Arizona, my God, that's what you have everywhere. Yeah. Just go out there and look around. There are millions and billions of cacti.
Yeah, there aren't cactus or cacti in Lubbock that I recall.
Yeah, I said it right.
I don't recall running into a lot of that. I saw plenty of it in Arizona, however. But yeah, what did that stem from, the whole Lubbock cactus thing? I forget now. They were being like, somebody was,
I think
some media member.
Because somebody said, like, why would you want to go out there out in the West,
all the cactus,
cactus or whatever. So then they were just like, all right,
Yeah, they leaned into it and they played into it as a Texas Tech fan base does, united, and they turned it into their own thing. And it actually has been a great identifier for Texas Tech fans. You're like, oh, there's a cactus on their profile. Like, they're a Texas Tech fan. And they found a way to flip something on its head in a good way. So yeah, I think Arizona, though, if anybody else has reason to say, like, well, yeah, we got partial ownership over here too, then they could very well say that.
I think it's fun. Like, I do, like,
they have the cactus in their actual old school logo.
Yeah.
The 90s logo. Yeah,
absolutely. I love that logo, actually. Like,
they brought it back here recently.
Brought it back recently. But I'll say this about it. It's funny to me when people criticize any college town, because even like some of the nicer ones, like when you really get down to the nitty gritty, there's not much there. They got a Whole Foods. Wow.
I mean, unless it's Austin or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, like, but Austin's a college town by happenstance, right. Almost more than like the college was built and the town happened. Like, it's not like that, like say Ames or whatever, and Lubbock, it's just like anything else. And it's also like, you don't have to go there for 30 years. You're going to college for 4 or 5 years, buddy, and you're going to be right there. So.
I hear plenty of people talking about that still to this day. And look, there were long, like 7.5 hour drives. That is not fun. If you want to get home quick on a weekend like that, then it's not the place for you. Like, if you want to just dip into mom and dad's a couple hours away, then go to TCU or something. But outside of that, those are the kinds of things you figure out. But I mean, once you choose to go out there, I wouldn't trade my time out in Lubbock for anything. I had a blast, and I can only imagine how much fun I had, how much fun Michael Crabtree and guys like that had out in Lubbock. Like, my God, like, as far as a college experience goes, if you wanted, like, well, my degree, okay, fine. Or you want to go visit more, I don't know, like museums or something, like, even though they have their fair share, then okay, you can pick apart any town really. But for just going and living somewhere and having fun and being a college student, like, there's not many, if any, better places out there in my opinion.
I think, like, if you stroll into most college towns, you're not going to be like, oh, wow. Like, you're going to a place that has a McDonald's, right? Like, you don't have the good McDonald's and the bad one. You've got one. And then as they get bigger, the bigger schools have more of that. But, like, college towns are pretty much all the same. As a person who's been to a lot of them, like, there's nothing that it's only comes down to personal taste.
Yeah, there's very few campuses like Texas in a big city like Austin. There are some, obviously.
Tech.
Georgia Tech in Atlanta. Most places, college places, are like Fayetteville or Tuscaloosa or College Station or Lubbock, etc.
Ohio State's a very interesting big city, but very much college town type of place. But yeah, anyways, there's the Mojo rankings, and hopefully people enjoyed those throughout the year. I enjoyed putting them together and putting out some new stuff with that. And again, we'll revisit it at some point when it makes sense to, like, post portal or something like that. And look, we could be talking about more jobs changing very easily. So that's where we find ourselves. Congratulations to Texas Tech. They are the Mojo Rankings champions for 2025 and the Big 12 champions as well. Equal honors there for sure.
So this is it. We're going to put this in the Louvre, right? And or is that okay now? Because there's damage there. This is it. Freeze frame it. Put a graphic up. Keep it, and then we'll look at it after or sometime around spring drills when it's over and into next year too. So we could have something to compare to, okay? So I got out of the chat room for just a little bit. Oh my God. Some good discussion about many of the job openings or names that were brought up and experts about this school or that school. We appreciate your time and thank you for watching us. We went past the 70,000 mark for subscribers back, a couple of 2 or 3 days ago. We appreciate you. We grow with you as a family, whether we agree or disagree. We appreciate your time. Please tell other people about it. We would love to also hear you tell them about what we do every day. Now, coming up around the corner, we will have Zack Gelb just after 5 o'clock, but a couple of more stories. How about Trey Aikman and NIL and UCLA? We'll have that quote and more. This is 365 Sports. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340, east of 84 in Waco. The Black Friday sales event continues full steam. In fact, 0% on brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cabs for 72 months. Or you can go 3.9% for 72 months and still snag 10% below MSRP plus $2,000 in select bonus cash. What do you do with that? Maybe put it in the bank or maybe go buy some Christmas gifts. Also, how about the 2025 Grand Cherokee 2-row Laredo priced at $33,990. If that's a little bit too much, the 2025 Jeep Compass Limited, $33,743 plus tax, title, and license. You also, if you want the 100,000-mile warranty on all 2026 models Ram trucks sold between now and the end of the year. The extension happened back in September. Might not come back. Who knows? 10 years, 100,000 miles. Call David Gray for more details. He handles the entire sales department. Ted Teague is the general manager and CEO. Alan Samuels, the Black Friday sales event is extended, continues in December. Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Over 30% of adults struggle with chronic foot and joint pain, and many face mobility limitations as they age. But a revolutionary Comfort First slipper has taken the wellness world by storm. Try Cloud Slides and feel you are walking on the clouds. Cloud Slides.
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code SPORTS365 to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code SPORTS365. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks. Win money. Must be 18 and up, 19 and up in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 and up, and in Colorado for some games, 21 and up in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and must be present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, your bank for life.
With over 25 years of excellence in IT, Carrion Solutions is your trusted technology partner. From managed IT services to cutting-edge cybersecurity, our expert team delivers tailored solutions that drive success. Our portfolio includes products such as Veeam, Bitdefender, Microsoft, Cisco, and Fortinet. Call David Carrion and his team of experts. Call 888-522-2221 or visit us at carrionsolutions.com.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Interesting quote here in a minute we'll get to on Troy Aikman and his, of course, his alma mater is UCLA. We'll get that in a second. Sherrone Moore, Michigan, fired for caused an inappropriate relationship, a long investigation. And if you think about it, when you think about the timing, their season is over other than a bowl game. It did not affect National Signing Day. Now, it could, depending on what they do, but Michigan's got all the money you could ever want to be able to keep that class together. Biff Poggi, I like this guy. He's funny as hell to look at. They beat the hell out of, who was it? Michigan beat Nebraska without Sherrone Moore. And I like his style. He just seems like a throwback.
I don't know if he's funny as hell to look at as a compliment, but I think you were going for a compliment.
He's a big man.
Yeah. He's very successful as well. Yeah. The point he's just doing college football for fun, basically, part of the way. But no, I wanted to add to they had the previous kind of news that was trickling out, and there was an official release from the school that talked about the fact that they had done an investigation and that I was trying to kind of balance things here, but the statement from Ward Manuel, head football coach Sherrone Moore has been terminated with cause effective immediately following a university investigation. Credible evidence was found that Coach Moore engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. This conduct constitutes a clear violation of university policy, and maintains zero tolerance for such behavior. Biff Poggi has been appointed head football coach in an interim capacity, but then this is from The Athletic, from Austin Meek. Just a little excerpt from an article that I haven't been able to read all the way through yet, but it says, a source briefed on the decision said the school received an anonymous tip regarding the inappropriate relationship, prompting the investigation. Moore was fired 2 days after meeting with reporters to discuss the 2026 signing class and the bowl matchup against Texas. The investigation initially did not produce evidence of the relationship, the source said, but additional evidence came to light in the last 24 hours that led to Moore's dismissal.
Well, you wonder, because did they know enough to what they could have done something but waited till after National Signing Day? But it sounds like if you say that something came to light where they could pull the trigger, they did.
I don't trust Michigan's timeline on anything.
I don't trust what they're saying.
I don't trust what they're saying on anything. And just a thing. And look, I straight up don't know if this guy is kidding or not. And that's his big thing. But Dave Portnoy tweeted out, like, if you're going to cheat,
go ahead,
Michigan, then you need to beat Ohio State and go to the playoff. Well, if that's been floating around the hallways of that, then I mean, I'm not surprised that Dave would say it. I mean, he's one of their NIL daddies. He paid for Bryce Underwood. So that's another thing.
So what happened where they were fine with it because they were all aware of it to when they weren't suddenly fine with it?
Yeah. Okay, real quickly, here's a Troy Aikman quote. Went to UCLA after he was at Oklahoma. I gave money to a kid. I won't mention who. I've done it one time at UCLA.
Dante Moore.
Never met the young man. He was there a year, Dante Moore. He left after the year. I wrote a sizable check, and he went to another school. I didn't even get so much as a thank you note. So it's one of those things, those deals to where I'm done with NIL. I want to see UCLA be successful, but I'm done with it.
That's where I think these partnerships come in with Utah, SMU, and all that, to where it's not just Dante Moore allegedly skating off with a check from Troy Aikman for nothing. Like there's some kind of rate of return on it, because otherwise you're going to have more and more of this where a guy writes a check and nothing happens.
Dude, how many hustlers have straight up street agents just like had a guy go in the spring? They don't have the contracts to where you don't get if you don't last to this time, and you go and you rob the bank basically, and then you bolt there in the summer, and then you go take another NIL deal, and then you're there and you take their money, and then you transfer out. Like, I'm sure there's not 100 names on a list, but I bet you there's several guys that we could sit there and track and go like, yeah, they were just robbing banks along the way, basically jumping from spot to spot because they're guaranteed all this. There's no regulation of any of it.
Like Eric Dickerson getting a Trans Am and going to a different school.
I mean, yeah, basically. Yeah. I mean, except and it doesn't have to return the Trans Am. Like that's the world we're living in right now. And maybe it's certain spots it's a little bit more clear cut, but I think in the beginning stages at least, it did feel like the whole situation. I've already forgotten the quarterback's name at Baylor. DeQuan Finn.
Yeah,
a dude came in, did nothing, got all his money. Gets hurt, and allegedly gets hurt, but suddenly he's hurt once he lost the starting quarterback job, and he got hurt at the same time that he needed to get hurt to preserve his eligibility, which that was just all very lucky for him. And then he's back in college football again at a different school with a new NIL deal. So it's like, how many guys have been able to work their way through the system? And hey, good for you finding a way to make the system work for you, rather than you working for it. But yeah, I mean, NIL and the way there is a lack of regulations would frustrate me immensely if I'm somebody like Troy Aikman, who's clearly not somebody who's just saying like, hey, go do with it what you will, but like probably got a call saying, Troy, we got this quarterback, tell us what you think. And like, would you be willing to go away on this guy being the face of UCLA? And he was down for it. And now he's just not going to do it again because he doesn't know if that guy's going to leave after a year. So yeah, I don't blame him or anybody else whatsoever.
Also, burning a bridge like Troy Aikman, if you're a quarterback, it's dumb.
I think Dante Moore will be fine if it's him. But yeah, you're right. You're right.
It's just dumb. It's just not, And look, if it is Dante Moore, I cannot wait for him to play a game of Monday Night Football.
Well, it won't be too long.
Yeah,
be a year or two.
Yeah, he's a really good player. He was in the mix for a Heisman Trophy. Oregon, of course, has that opening game with James Madison to start the playoffs.
Winner gets Tech.
Troy Aikman is a really solid. I've always just really liked him, classy, and that you give him a chance to pay for somebody, and the guy's gone. No, you got to do a thank you. No, you got to at least like, hey, text him. What's his number?
Well, that was the thing. I think that he said they never talked, right? Like they never even talked. Like so, like Dante Moore or whoever, player number one, like never even sent like a text like, hey, thanks, pal, like for the 500,000 or whatever. Probably more than that actually. So yeah, you can see where this is just so non-personal that you at least want it being college football to feel a little bit personal, especially if you're giving this much money to somebody and to not even feel like you're even an afterthought for them as they head out of town with a bag of cash. Like, yeah, I would not want to pony up money either if I didn't have to.
I love that Troy did open up about that. And when he does and he says something, I believe it. We're now joined by Zack Gelb, Infinity Sports Network. He's going to be getting on a train to get out of town for a little bit, to go to something. So he joins us now. Zack, thank you very much with Craig and Paul. David Smoak, your thoughts about Michigan?
Sure. Good. Because Michigan. With that being said, no one would have saw what transpired today with the off the field conduct that, I think we could all figure out what actually happened there without it being told to us. My immediate hot take would be Kenny Dillingham. That's what I would say would probably be if I'm Ward Manuel, that's the first phone call with all the names that have changed in the cycle. I would go throw a big bag of cash at Kenny Dillingham.
Yeah, Zack, I wonder are they willing to go outside their own circles enough to call Kenny Dillingham? Like that's the big question I have about Michigan. I completely agree. I think he's a home run wherever he would go. But is Michigan open enough to going outside the family tree?
I think they have to. Because when I was on the air and this news came down, the first name I thought of, I go, what about Jesse Minter, right? Who is a Michigan guy. And then Jesse Minter, obviously he's with the NFL, but he's about to get an NFL head coaching job. And then I said to myself, well, hold on. I was texting with John Jansen, who does the Michigan games, and he goes, didn't he just get a show cause? So, and he has a show cause going back from, what was it, May or April, whenever that investigation did wrap up. So I wonder even if they want these hardball guys, how many of these guys still have show causes? I have to go back and look at that. But if I was them, since you just went with the Harbaugh guy and it failed, I think you could get out of the Michigan trade.
Zach, I'm just kind of testing out this theory right now, but I feel like the NBA in the last several years has become far more about like it's off the court and it's trades and it's madness than it's like regular season most of the time. And then eventually the finals do matter and all of that. But the NBA, a lot of it's like just not really the basketball all the time. And college football, I still feel like the football matters, but man, this coaching carousel, nearly 30 schools changing jobs. Like you have this quieting down and all of a sudden here's the Michigan job opening up, the portal, like all these things. I mean, soap opera is definitely a description that you could use, but it's not quite to the NBA level, I feel like, where the on the court's been diluted, but it feels like it's just in a really wild place right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so in the NBA, I think they structure their season where it's the offseason matters the most, then the playoffs, and they don't care about the regular season. When you get to college football, I would say, and this is the regular season is still number one to me. I would now say the offseason is number two, and in a weird way, the playoffs actually may be three. Because when you look at this, these first-round matchups with Tulane and James Madison in there, we're probably going to get two blowouts, and then who even knows if the close games are going to be blowouts? You can't just only blame it on the G5 because there's no G5 team in last year in the first round of the playoffs. And for the most part, all those games were pretty much blowouts. I think the closest one was Notre Dame and Indiana, which was a 10-point game, and it never really felt like Notre Dame was going to lose. So you're right. In college football, the regular season will always matter. But the Real Housewives of like New Jersey or whatever you want to say, whatever, is running rampant. And a coach like Lane Kiffin is probably sitting there and he's probably joking around. I think he's going to stay at LSU, obviously. Oh, but could I got the Michigan job? I think Michigan would have been the second best job in the market. And the only, like, if all these jobs opened at the same time, the only one would have been behind would have been LSU.
Yeah, it's think about the names, the banger schools that have had openings, and now Michigan added to the list. So
here's the other thing that's intriguing about this.
Yep.
I wonder when they knew. You know, this was an investigation. When did they have a sense which way this was going? Because if they had to wait until today for the investigation to wrap up, if it wrapped up last night, that's a different story. But if they had a sense that it was going this way 2 weeks ago, a week ago, couldn't you have kind of back-channeled to maybe some candidates, hey, you know, maybe you don't want to take this job because Michigan's going to be open. I just wonder how that did play on out.
Zach, I talked to a couple people that have known about rumblings for weeks surrounding Sherrone Moore, and I don't trust the University of Michigan on their timelines or anything they say about investigations on anything from now until the end of time.
Yeah, that's fair. It's not like Michigan has been the most trustworthy through the years. There is no doubt about that. But with that being said, I don't think we will get the truth until there is like a tell-all in a week or two from like The Athletic or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Zach, any HSOs, hot sports opinions on Notre Dame and the college football playoff, or have you just kind of been drowned in it like everybody else the last few days? Just your thoughts on the Irish and their battle now with the ACC and their snub and everything that's come with that.
You know, I was talking to Tim Tebow today, and he said, is the goal really to find the best 12 teams? Because you can't tell me that Notre Dame isn't one of the best 12 teams in college football. A little message to the SEC. I've done this. I looked at A&M's schedule. I looked at Alabama's schedule this year. Notre Dame could have been a 3-loss or fewer team, I think, easily in the SEC. But they did lose to A&M to open up the season. They lost to Miami. I don't think it's the job of the committee right now. They're not set up to find the best 12 teams because there's parameters in place to prevent them from doing so. Like, for example, if Virginia would have won the ACC, they would have been in. Are they one of the top 12 teams in the country? No. Is James Madison a top 12 team in the country? No, but it's the highest 5-ranked conference champ. Same could be said for Tulane. So I wonder what they should do. Do you go to 16? I think that's probably most likely. I would suggest maybe just going to 14 and you have it really be a 12-team format where 11 plays 14, 12 plays 13 to get the list narrowed down into the 12 teams, and you have a little play-in tournament that way. Do you maybe just tell the G5 to break up altogether and have your own playoff and have, the main playoff for the big boy schools? Like, those are all things that are on the table. But when it comes to the Notre Dame decision, I don't think it was the wrong decision, but the process and how they got to that decision is crazy. Like, they were comparing Alabama and Notre Dame all along. I know Notre Dame didn't play last week and Alabama did. Alabama got smacked. I thought for sure Alabama was going to fall back a spot. Notre Dame was going to move up to 9. Then they were just going to avoid the Notre Dame-Miami debate, and it was going to be an Alabama-Miami debate, and Miami would be on the outside looking in. But once you keep Alabama there, you finally compare Notre Dame and Miami like the rest of us. And since the metrics are so close, yeah, Miami should get in over Notre Dame because they beat them. But if they play tomorrow, I do think Notre Dame would beat Miami.
Man, the bangers and the games and all that. So Zack, in the stretch of what we've had with what's going on in college football, what else could happen that would top what we already have been dealing with lately?
Honestly, at this rate, I don't have a damn clue. Maybe, you know what? You know what'd be a cool story, though? I think with how much the coaching carousel has been nuts. Now, I'm not going to put my eggs in the basket of Tulane beating Ole Miss or James Madison beating Oregon. But what about Ole Miss, who lost one game this season? They were the better team up against Georgia for the first 3 quarters, and they melted down in the 4th quarter. You have a coach leave you. I know some of the staff is obviously back for the playoff run, but could you imagine Lane Kiffin, who would still be getting his bonuses, by the way, with the way his contract is structured at LSU, having to watch Ole Miss go make a run at the national championship? I think that would be a fitting way. I don't know if Ole Miss could do it. I like Kewan Lacey. I like Trinidad Chambliss. But that would be intriguing to me if I didn't have a dog in the fight.
That would be fun to watch if it could get to that point.
Zach, one quick NFL question before I know that we have you. I'll let you go so you can catch your train. Will the Cowboys win out, and will the Eagles go 2-2?
I think with the way that the Eagles schedule is, they'll be better than 2-2, but I don't trust their quarterback. Will the Cowboys win out? I would probably say no, but if you are in a car or if you are near a radio this weekend and you want to listen to the Compass Media Network between the Cowboys and the Vikings on Sunday Night Football, I'll be doing the studio hosting for pre-half and post of the Cowboys game. So make sure you listen into that.
All right. So what do you have tonight? You have something to do? You had to get on a train, right?
Yeah, so I had a few doctor's appointments this morning. So I visited my parents on Long Island, and I did the show here out on Long Island. And I had to bolt back into the city tonight via train. And my train leaves right at like 6:40 for the hour train ride, and then I'm off to Army Navy. I'll be doing my show there, coming up on Friday. So, just a little busy travel schedule today, right when the show ended, and I got to go make a train, about 10 minutes away from my folks' house.
We'll let you go. Army Navy, as good as it gets, man. The emotions of that game, everybody can get caught up in that one. We had Blake Horvath, the Navy quarterback, on with us, and he was fantastic. Well, no,
I'm looking forward to it. I've done a bunch of the radio rows, but I've never been to an actual Army-Navy game, so I'm sticking around for the game this year, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Good luck with your trip. Thank you very much, and have a great broadcast this weekend.
Yep, you got it, guys. Thank you.
Zack Gelb with us, Infinity Sports Network on 365 Sports.
Well, that's a cool experience. Army-Navy, so college football, getting a little taste of tradition still. See, guys, it's still there's still tradition. This one like game. Crumb left of how it was.
They're trying to stomp on that too.
No, I had a lot of time to sit and think amid the fever dreams and everything the last several days, and man, I waffled a lot on not my fandom, but just like where I get exhausted hearing about the constant chaos. Although it's also fun too. It just depends on what angle you want to look at it from. So it depends on the day and the stories that we're talking about. Because like the legality and all that, like that, I can't stand all the stuff that comes with it, but it's important. The coaching carousel, I could listen to that like all the time because I do find it sort of fascinating. But like there's obviously this very ominous kind of dark cloud, and then you hear like, but the TV ratings are never better, and it's never been more popular. And I think the chaos leads to a lot of chatter and a lot of people being maybe more interested than they were previously. But yeah, it's just a weird spot where, I don't know. Like I still love the game, but I can hardly recognize it anymore in a lot of ways. And when you do now have these bowl opt-outs by multiple teams, like that's when I think I was thinking about it. It was when like the 6th team had said, nope, we're not playing in a bowl game either. And I was like, geez, man. And you start thinking about all the things that we have lost, the regionality, some of those rivalries, conferences that made sense from every perspective, region and size wise. And now what's that leads to into having this Virginia Duke debacle and this playoff conversation where now it's just become a game of risk for Sankey and his counterpart in the Big Ten, Petiti, to like play over everybody's territory and see what they can grab that they actually want. And then the rest of you be happy with what we left you. And then they're all cutthroat to each other because they're trying to be the last one standing amongst who's number 3 or number 4 or whatever. And it's just, it's a lot, man. It's a lot that's changed. And now you look at like the bowl games very clearly are dying. And now you've got, I do think that we could spend some time on the Joey McGuire, and he's not the only one that had the suggestion about the bowl games to start the year. I do think that's probably the way it should go.
We had Brett McMurphy on yesterday, and he talked about why that could work and why it wouldn't work.
Yeah, I don't think it's just like you could easily do it by any means, but I think it could be interesting. If you did a Cotton Bowl, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, bam, let's go. But not everyone would be created equal, and there'd be a lot of things to work out, but I'm not disillusioned by the sport, but I can easily see where a lot of people are. And there are things where I feel like if they don't change a certain direction in the next year or two, I'm going to join that party as far as being in line of like, yeah, this isn't even resembling what I was talking about 2 years ago.
Wouldn't it be nice just to maybe have a split national championship, and you can argue about that, but there's not all the legal part of it?
Well, I mean, if you look at it with hindsight, sure. Yeah. But like that was a big deal when you'd have that. And
that's what created the BCS.
That's what created it all. Yeah. That's what created, but like, yeah, now it'd be nice to have, the Pac-12 still existed the way that it did. And that'd all be nice, but it's also like anything else though. I also have to remind myself as I get older of like, dude, it's just not what it was in the 1990s. Like and that doesn't mean that it's always for the better either, because this is not all for the better. But I can't just sit there and go, well, it's not the way I grew up with it, so it sucks. I don't want to be that guy where everything's nostalgia, basically. It's just, I don't know, like amid a 101 degree fever, I was just sitting here watching all this unfold, and I was just like, man, this is a weird spot to be in.
Look, when you have if you look at the history of the sport, for whatever reason, college football at the very beginning decided not to do a playoff when they were doing playoffs and almost everything else they were doing.
All the levels. Yep.
Yeah, all the levels. But to not do a playoff was since 1950, to not do that was dumb.
Well, that's where the Bulls aren't victims either. Yeah, they very much helped maintain this system because they got paid off of this system.
But not only that, some teams didn't go to bowl games. They didn't play in postseason bowl games. Like Notre Dame, they didn't go to bowl games. Their season ended. The season ended. There were some teams that just didn't go to bowl games.
Yeah, and ultimately,
like they're doing this year.
Yeah. Oh, it's actually a traditional move for Notre Dame.
And ultimately, when it moved, I think I did a top 5 about this yesterday about the bowls. There's a lot of different things you can do, and it's probably a hodgepodge of those 5 somewhere in there. That is what you do. But I do think that you could take some of the ones that are lesser bowl games, like the Bahamas Bowl, and acknowledge that, man, a football game in the Bahamas is not a terrible idea. It'd actually be pretty fun, but getting people to show up to it when they find out 2 weeks before the holidays that their team is going to the Bahamas is a really tough economic sell.
But what did Brett say about that, though? A lot of the bowl games that are in the South, Florida, California, etc. It's a trip for during the cold months that people will fly to do that because it's truly a vacation. Will they do that in late August?
But for the Bahamas, if you're going to go to Ireland, if you're going to go to some of these other places, I would think you'd go to the Bahamas. One, and it's cheaper.
I'd go to the Bahamas anytime. Yeah.
But so if you do it in August and you can plan out for several months to be like, hey, I'm a Kentucky fan. We're playing Clemson in the Bahamas Kickoff Classic. That's more than likely to draw people than
I've watched the Bahamas Bowl games. Yeah, there's not a great crowd there.
Yeah, there's not a great crowd, and it's not.
There's literally people walking around the track at the stadium. That's not that great.
So make it an event. If you're going to do these things, make it an event, and then clear off some of the ones that are just not making money, that are just kind of there. Raise the standard a little bit, and decide what you want to be. Decide what you want to be. I do think the biggest fundamental question comes down to, and I don't want to repeat myself in the top 5 but the G6 and the P4 have to get to a point of what is the relationship? What do you really want it to be?
Yeah, and then we do need to go to stay on time, but like the whole thing about, well, let's just the G5 should have their own playoff. Do you think they want that? They are very clearly trying to not go that direction.
Yeah,
they're doing
To
everything.
give them a chance.
They're trying to do everything to join the Big 12 or the ACC or look at what SMU did to just get into the party. And so you see all these like media guys who are like, well, dude, the G5 should just have their own. They don't want their own playoff. That's the whole point, you morons. Like, that's the whole point. Like, would it be more logical and would it be clean cut for everybody to just have that separation? Yes, but they don't want that. That's the entire point of why they're fighting the way that they are.
Yeah.
And so it's just not like they'd be happy with their own national title. No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't try to be joining other leagues and jumping up.
Well, and you're right, because here's the difference.
Like Boise State.
They've tasted it. Boise State, what James Madison gets to do, whether it's 35-30 or whatever it might be. SMU, they've tasted it now. We're in Division I or Division III or JUCO or whatever, NAIA. That's how they started the playoffs. You're asking them to take a step backwards.
I think there's a two-tiered solution to it of, look, just say what you want. If you're the P4 and you just say out loud, we don't want you in our playoff. We're not going to stop until we figure out a way to get you out. And then the G6 says, well, we'd like to be in the playoff. Just tell us what it takes to get in there, and then go to the members and go, here's the buy-in.
Yeah, just somebody have a plan. That'd be a good starting point. And just say what you really feel, not like try to be making risk moves like Sankey, say one thing and you're the whole time undermining this over here. And no, we're cool, but the whole time you're like really stabbing the knife in the back kind of thing. Like, that's how it feels. Yeah, actually, like, just say, here's the deal, no automatic bids, and you guys will probably never make the playoffs, so you guys can go do your own thing, or you can stick around and just you're never going to be at a certain level, and then let them make a choice on that. But yeah, you're not going to just sit here and demote a Boise State who's been fundraising their ass off for the last however many years to try to get into a pack-like situation, or an SMU or various others. Cincinnati, BYU. I mean, BYU's not in that party now, but if you told them back then, like, just go be independent and be in this other little thing, that's not what they wanted. So, anyways, it's been an interesting couple of weeks, that's for sure.
I hear about Brando's brought it up, Mac Brown brought it up about G5 or 6, that they go have their own tournament. North Dakota State celebrate. Well, they got beat by Illinois State, but those guys have a lot of fun when they win a national title. But that's how it started, so they're used to that.
You need to go make it happen if that's what you want to happen. Like, go make the rules to where that is, it forces them into a situation, and then let the chips fall where they may. But yeah, just expecting them to sit there and demote themselves, that's not going to happen whatsoever.
One final note on Kenny Dillingham, Kim Coulter, who lives really close to where he does. This whole notion that anyone can get Dillingham to leave is insane. His mom and his Century family live here. They're celebrities in their own right. He's not leaving here. My God. We'll see.
Hope so.
Yeah, I hope you're right, because I like, and I will listen to him where he's at Arizona State or Timbuktu. I'll listen to him and the way he handles a lot of different topics. When we come back, Paul Catalina, top 5. We'll spin the wheel. We'll have quizzes and poll results. This is 365 Sports. IdealMRI.com in the Central Texas marketplace off I-35 in Waco. Dr. Rob Maxey, his partners, put together a business that will help you in a couple of ways, especially if you're injured or something is not, well, your back is starting to flare up, but it's affecting your hip like it did me, or your quad, or your lower body. Ideal MRI has a state-of-the-art imaging machine that will get the evidence your doctor needs when they request that you have an MRI. And on top of that, it's only $497 or less every single time. State-of-the-art imaging machine will find out a muscle, a ligament. Is it damaged? Is it torn? What is going up and down your back or your neck? It's creating other issues. They will do that for you. They will get that for you, and it will only cost $497 at IdealMRI.com.
Beagle, your financial concierge. Find your old 401k. Discover your 401k hidden fees. Roll over and save thousands. Unlock your 401k and IRA. Meet Beagle.com.
Introducing Carnal Beef Jerky. Crafted by our chefs using techniques honed in the finest Michelin-starred restaurants. Taste true luxury.
extended vehicle warranties. Warranty providers have introduced a waiting period. This waiting period lasts for 30 days or 1,000 miles. Sign up on Chase today.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
Chronic lower back pain. Take the assessment first. You get a 1-week trial. Just that 1 week can change your life. The success rate is over 90%. My name's Ryan Peebles, and I'm a doctor of physical therapy.
At Dreamy, we believe that life can be upgraded in comfort, convenience, and joy.
Dude, check out this robe. This is the dude robe. It's perfect for after the shower, gym, or even the beach. This thing is awesome. It also has this super premium towel lining to dry you off right away. Dude, what are you waiting for? Get yourself a dude robe today.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5.
Welcome into Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by Flag and Anthem. Go to flag.com. Use our promo code 365sports for a discount at checkout. We're going to have a 3-volume Top 5 for the next couple of days. I am going to tell you how I would structurally fix college football. So let's dive right into it. Number 5, decide if the Power 4 and the Group of 6 can actually coexist. The Power 4 has done everything but say out loud that they don't want to deal with the Group of 6. But the problem with that is they made them pay a good chunk of the House settlement, even though the Group of 6 schools were not really the ones who caused the issue. It was much more the Power 4 schools, yet G6 schools are on the hook for it. They needed them to pass the playoff that they have now. They needed all of them because of the current governance structure to do all these things, but they don't really want to have to deal with them. They want all the perks of having them, but none of the sharing or responsibilities. It's like having a dog, but your dad takes it out all the time. You don't feed it, you don't take it out, you don't do all those things, but you do get to say, I've got a dog. Like, that's how they essentially are treating this, and it's not fair to the Group of 6 schools, their alumni, their fans, and their student athletes. And look, let's figure out what the structure is. Let's be honest about the future of it. And if some G6 schools want to move up to the power conferences, tell them what the buy-in is. Tell them what the buy-in is, what they have to do. And if they can do it, great. If they can't do it, great. But stop moving the goalposts on them. It's not right, and it's caused a lot of this animosity. Number 4, let the schools figure out their revenue streams. Everybody needs to take a step back and figure this out. One of the things that keeps happening is they keep asking the fans for more and more money, for NIL, for all these things. But, I don't know where all the money in college athletics goes for. If I go to a Chicago Bears game and I buy a ticket to the Chicago Bears and I drink beer and I eat hot dogs and I buy a Caleb Williams jersey, I know that part of that money, whatever fraction, is going to the ownership group of the Bears, the NFL, and all this to fund various things that they do. When I buy a ticket to a college football game right now, I assume it goes to most of that stuff. But then they turn around and ask you for more money, so you wonder, where is all the money going? Why are they in all this debt? Why is private capital like Ocho Capital able to come in and make these partnerships with a school like Utah and potentially others down the line? Well, look, I am against the private capital thing when it comes to college athletics. I just don't think it can lead down a good path in a broad service. Like, some of them might be fine, some of them might be others. It's just how it works in the financial world. Some people are, really good financial geniuses that know how to extract the best out of everything financially and performance-wise, and others are just predatory companies that buy something, bleed it dry, and leave it for dead. And so who knows who all these people are going to be, but the schools have to figure this out, whether it's Utah doing this or SMU founding their own thing, which they've done today, and moving on. This needs to be figured out, and pretty similar across the board, if not completely the same, at least similar in how you're going to do it to keep a truly competitive marketplace. Number 3, universal procedures for conferences. Jim Phillips, pictured here, talked about it today with tiebreakers, and the ACC's has a bad one, but they need, when it comes to tiebreakers, scheduling, this all needs to be universal. It shouldn't have to be worked out. An overarching body should say, these are the tiebreakers. They're all the same for everybody, as opposed to the ACC has one, the Big 12 has one, the Mountain West has one, like all these different things on down the line, especially for the Power 4 conferences. They should be determining who their top teams are with the exact same methodology. Because if you're the ACC and you're going to say, for right or wrong, whether you're just as viable a conference as the SEC or Big 10, you can't pick a champion in a correct way, then you really aren't. So you have to, everybody needs to mirror one another when it comes to all that. That needs to be done. Number 2, admit players are employees. This is Darian Mensah, the quarterback at Duke. He makes $4 million reportedly to transfer from Tulane to Duke and play football. I don't know about you, but if I'm a professor at Duke and the quarterback is making $4 million, he's a higher paid employee than me. You can call it whatever you want, but at the end of the day, these guys are employees now, and you have to start admitting that and figuring out ways to make it work. Once you do that, a lot of the political things that you want will actually start falling into place because there are pre-existing rules and laws that protect employees. They don't want that because they want to stay in the past where they can kind of control these things, but they don't have control of them now. So any kind of control they would have is only admitting what things are into the future. Number 1, get a commissioner. I put Jamie Pollard here. Jamie Pollard said something about hiring Jimmy Rogers, the loss of Matt Campbell, and the way that coaching contracts work that made me think that he is actually one of the better guys that could run college football and college athletics as a commissioner. He talked about how contracts don't mean anything. He had to go hire Jimmy Rogers from Wazoo. Penn State came and hired Matt Campbell from them, and they're paying these buyouts and all that. They don't mean anything. And it doesn't work that way for coaches in any other sport, but it does in college athletics. But he also said, I feel bad about having to do that with Wazoo, but it's the system that we're in. There are not many people in leadership roles in college athletics that will admit a system is bad and then admit that, like, I have no other choice but to operate inside the bad system. Jamie Pollard is as honest a human being as you can have. And in these troubling times when it comes to college athletics, I think you need somebody who can see both sides of this and how to work through it. I think that's a guy like Jamie Pollard. Now, whether that's him or not, but that's the kind of commissioner they need. I want Nick Saban to do it. No. Nick Saban's too big money, too all that. You need someone who's actually run a functional athletic department and had to deal with everything at once, which Iowa State, a Power 4 school with limitations, I think that gives you unique expertise to maybe have a larger role in the leadership of college football. That's just my opinion. Anyway, more on this for the next 2 days. The carnival begins now.
That was a sad spin.
Yeah, well, I don't think we got – you want me to do it again?
Yeah.
Probably hope it was facing the camera a little
It
bit
might
too.
lift the roof off this building.
I could not hear anything you said. The wheel was so loud on that time. What's the best Christmas movie of all time?
There was a poll on this. It's kind of a Christmas movie poll. We'll get to that later.
It's fortuitous that we've landed on this one today.
For me, like the most rewatchable is Home Alone, the original Home Alone. I used to say that I was a bigger fan of Home Alone 2, and the more I've thought about it now, I like Home Alone better because Home Alone 2 is just Home Alone, but in New York City, basically. So I like Home Alone better. It's more charming now that I've gotten older, and that's my immediate go-to, but there's a lot of them that I love.
I love Christmas movies. I love movies in general, but I love Christmas movies. Home Alone is my number 3 movie. Number 1 is A Christmas Story for me. I love A Christmas Story. It's just such a well written movie. I will say this: just watched Home Alone 2 the other night. As Amanda and I go through Christmas movies, what I admire about
it's so cute.
Home Alone 2 is that in order to make it is just Home Alone in New York. But in order to make it viable and enjoyable and not just like replaced, there are some pretty clever things that they wrote in to make sure that scenario happened, which I think was very challenging and hard. Like how they get separated at the airport, why they get separated at the airport.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing it's a leap to me is like the sticky bandit, the wet bandits are just there. Like,
just randomly there.
Yeah. And I guess you could have just gotten different guys in like a different scenario.
We needed Harry and Marv to be back.
But it had to be Harry and Marv. But him throwing the bricks off the roof is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
I just can't watch it now and go like, how did they not die multiple times from all of the stuff that like severe 3rd degree burns and like
Home Alone.
Just still trying to get in that damn house though. Like
Home Alone. All that stuff you could live through. Home Alone 2, they would have, like Marv would have died before he even got in. He got hit in the head with 6 bricks.
Right, exactly.
From 3 stories up. Smokey, do you have one?
He's looking them up right now.
No, I'm getting feedback from there's a lot of good feedback. Mine is the Charlie Brown Christmas.
Okay.
I love Charlie Brown. Always loved it. I could watch that. It's not, it's old. You talk about old school, but as far as like a real, like human beings, I don't really have one that's my favorite. They're all pretty good.
Yeah.
But Charlie Brown Christmas, I will watch that. At some point it'll pop up or I'll see it on YouTube. My guide, and I will watch it.
Some of the better ones in the chat. Anybody like?
Who's number 2 for you though, Paul?
Number 2 for me is It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay, yeah,
which I love.
That was mentioned in here.
Yeah, I love It's a Wonderful Life. It's so fantastic. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Home Alone, Gremlins, National Lampoon's Christmas.
Yeah,
Gremlins is a Christmas movie.
It's a Wonderful Life. Some people don't like it because it's dark. It's a really dark movie. And like the middle of the movie is like really tragic and dark. But like that makes the ending so much better. I've had this discussion with my wife and my mother-in-law several times. They're like, but it's not joyous until the very end. I'm like, that's the point.
Yeah. National Lampoon's, we'll see. A White Christmas, the movie, A Christmas Story with Christmas Carol, all that. All right.
Okay. Let's go to the trivia questions. At which iconic stadium did Ted Williams launch his legendary 502-foot home run? Tiger Stadium, Yankee Stadium, Fenway Park, or Wrigley Field?
He would not have played at Wrigley Field.
No, unless it was an exhibition game.
Yeah.
And so Wrigley's out. Fenway, no, it's not Fenway. And I don't think it's Yankee Stadium either because they're
not known for their 500-foot home runs in Yankee Stadium.
I think Mantle hit one that was 521.
Yeah.
Why would I remember that? But I couldn't tell.
I'm just thinking more of their short.
I think it's Tiger Stadium because Tiger Stadium was massive.
It was a launching pad, and it
was massive,
very hitter friendly.
Yeah, let's go Tiger Stadium.
Even though there was a 31 game winner.
Wow, it was Fenway Park. Okay.
Well, if you hit it that far, it would hit something before it got to 502 feet. It's like they didn't have analytics back then.
Maybe not in 1946.
I did not know it was Fenway Park.
In the thing, yeah. So
Ted Williams, 502 on June 9th, 1946, landing in section 42, row 37, seat 21. Later painted red to honor the feats. Oh, see, Paul, you should have known this.
I
didn't even know Fenway Park was 502 feet that was still inside the stadium.
While officially 502, Wynn may have carried it farther. A 2-time Triple Crown winner, MVP, Hall of Famer, and World War II Korean War Marine pilot.
Hero, yeah.
Is that all he did? Williams remains one of baseball's all-time greats.
He's frozen. There's another thing.
Yes, cryogenically.
He's frozen.
Yeah.
He's cryogenically frozen.
That wouldn't be a bad thing to do if you knew it worked.
Or but
I guess.
What if the world sucks when you get
thawed?
Well, then you
imagine waking up in 2025 put me back to sleep, please.
Why did we not pick the stadium of which he played his career?
I should know that. I've been to Fenway Park a lot. I just
not very many responses on this one, but 37% were right.
Yeah. So okay, let's go to the next one. This wide receiver kept detailed notebooks on opponents and fellow receivers, helping him dominate the 1958 National Championship game. This is a year before Smokey was even born.
The first name that jumped out at me is Don Hudson. I'm not sure about the years he played, though.
Yeah. Let's go with that one. I'm not like...
Yeah, I have no idea.
I have no idea. Raymond
Oh,
Berry. Okay.
my.
Yeah. All right.
Hell of a football coach, too. He eventually was not bad. Took a team to a Super Bowl.
Raymond Berry revolutionized the wide receiver's role with obsessive preparation using a 16-millimeter projector and handwritten notes to study defenders, routes, timing in the 1958 NFL championship game, the greatest game ever played. He caught 12 passes for 178 yards and a TD alongside Colts legend Johnny Unitas in a thrilling overtime win over his career. Berry totaled 9,275 yards, 68 touchdowns, only one fumble.
Is that the one that was on TV that exploded the NFL?
Yeah, that's the one, the greatest game ever.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Wes Welker.
I don't know why, Craig.
Oh, or Steve Largent, or we only make certain comparisons for wide receivers.
I like that. Yeah, John Mack.
He reminds me just randomly of Ed McCaffrey.
From Paris, Texas, by the way.
Yeah. I like that Colts old
And
school
SMU.
logo, with bucking logo. Okay, let's go to our poll questions. Who is your pick to win the Heisman Trophy? Fernando Mendoza at 58%.
Bigger than all the others combined, obviously, with over 50.
So I totally get the Fernando Mendoza. If I had a vote, which I don't, I would vote for Diego Pavia.
Same.
And I just feel like he encapsulates the spirit of the award. And that's who I would go with. But Fernando Mendoza is not a bad choice by any stretch. And if he wins it, then congratulations to him. Just so impressed by Indiana and was reticent to buy in on them, man. Even with last year, it's like, I won't do it again. And now it's like, dude, they're going to be in the playoff like every damn year with Cignetti as head coach. I mean, I have no doubts about that. But, I would go Pavia here.
Okay.
Both of those top two are transfers.
Yep.
And saying
it's a transfer
initially, because it was part of Alabama. Yep.
Okay, this question, which Andrew feels very strongly about one way. Should Die Hard be counted as a legitimate Christmas movie? 62% say yippee-ki-yay, and 38% say bah humbug. Andrew fully believes that this is not a Christmas movie, as where Brandon will die on the hill of it is an unintentional Christmas movie. We had a long talk about this earlier in the day. I used to say, absolutely it's a Christmas movie. I can make arguments either way, but I will say this. The plot of the movie is ultimately about a dad and a mom trying to get back to their family for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And that might unintentionally make it a Christmas movie. Not to mention at the very end, they play a Christmas song.
Yeah, I think it's like Gremlins in the way that Christmas is incorporated, but it's not like would that be fair? It's been a long time since I watched Gremlins, but that's one of those. It's like it's Christmas time, so it's a Christmas movie, but I don't think it's intended to be a Christmas movie. That's kind of how I view Die Hard, at least.
I've heard a lot of people fight for that, though. On Die on a Hill, that it's a Christmas movie. How did no one say Miracle on 43rd Street?
Because it's 34th Street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's right. But that's a very
well.
Good
No one said that either, though. Did they?
So no, but. Die Hard is one of my favorite movies just in general.
It's great.
It's the perfect action movie.
So. I will watch Elf at least a couple of times in the next few weeks as well. I always still enjoy watching that at least once during Christmas.
We've already knocked that one off. Last night was the Santa Claus.
Tim Allen,
Yeah.
Still hold up?
No.
Yeah, it does. Nope.
It does. There's a RJ Ochoa was on Cowboys Corner with me the other day, and he asked me at the end, RJ and I were just BSing, and he said, there's this plot hole in there I need you to help explain to me. And it's a very valid plot hole of
spoilers.
If none of the adults believe in Santa Claus, what do they think is happening when the presents show up?
Great point, actually. Yeah, these presents just magically show up. They're like, oh, that's the government.
I must have gotten that.
Yeah.
That's what, they didn't,
it's a great
their bank
question.
accounts don't go down. They didn't pay for it.
I'll never rewatch that the same way again. Not that I probably will rewatch it ever again, but if I were to, then now that will be in my head for sure.
Yeah.
All right. One note about Raymond Berry. He led the league. This is how much things have changed in 1957 with 47 catches for 800 yards and 6 touchdowns. Led the league in receiving yards. That says quite a bit because now you could see guys get that in about 4 or 5 weeks. All right, Brandon Rowe, thank you, sir. Garrett Ross, thank you, sir. And also Andrew Valade, thank you very much. We'll have a lot of this up on social media, content that's slammed into the atmosphere I'll be out the next couple of days. Craig and Paul will be back tomorrow. Thank you all for being a part of it. Hit the like button on your way out and subscribe if you haven't. We would appreciate that, and our great sponsors. Good night, 365 Sports.